puppets, and their strings are pulled by donors loyal to the modern nation 2 years. Not counting the cost of U.S. engagements in the region.
Everyone, to the homeless left. Happy Tuesday. I think we were given a label today of what we're calling today the day of the week. Oh, yeah, Leslie chimed in on this one. Today is Dystopian Tuesday. We'll find the comment. Here we go. Wait, where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Here we go. Yep. Happy Dystopian Tuesday. Happy Dystopian Tuesday. No, we're calling today's episode The Walls Are Coming Down. And that's on multiple fronts as we're seeing in real time. We're going to get to some breaking news for you guys in just a minute here on the Epstein files. We're going to looking at the Epstein files coming undone and all the shifting and turning and maneuvering, and mainstream media can't keep their narrative straight on that one. And then we have the Israel walls coming down slowly but surely as well. And you saw that intro. That's a new PAC. It's AZA PAC, which is the Anti-Zionist of America PAC. You saw our friend of the show in there, Jose Vega, was featured in that one. So I would let you guys know, go check that out. It's pretty cool. An actual PAC fighting against the Zionists. Pretty badass what they're doing there. And I thought it was a good way to at least stay semi-positive right now with all the crazy stuff happening in the world. We are feeling a little hopeful right now because the walls seem to be caving in on a lot of different elements. So with that, we do have a lot to get into. We have some Maha stuff, some RFK pushing back against his own base, which is kind of sad. But we'll get to some of that. But the defending of power, you get into a position of power and then you end up defending it. It's pretty bizarre how that happens every single time. And then the people warn you, hey, we're going to do it differently. And you get in there and you do the same thing. It's like body snatchers. It's Walking Dead. You become the thing that you were supposed to be fighting. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. So we'll look at that. We have This Week in HOLLYWOKE, Kevin Spacey crying over his love for Israel. Looking forward to that one. But we will be bringing in some co-hosts today. We got Jay Scott coming up in a little bit. Going to do a few stories with us. Oh, an AI story. You guys are going to, if you haven't heard about this app, it's pretty disturbing. We have dead relatives coming back from the grave as AI on a new app. It's pretty, I would say scary, but kind of disgusting. We'll look at that. And as well as what else we got? We got a lot of Voice of the Week and a bunch of other stuff to get to. Okay. If you guys are joining us on our channels, you know where to find us. If you're regular on our Rumble, thank you so much. That's been our stable, our kind of our constant throughout these last few years right here on Rumble. The Homeless Left, our main channel. We're very happy that our YouTube channel is doing well. It's our second try at it. THL Presents on YouTube. And being monetized, it's pretty unbelievable we've gotten to this level. They destroyed our first channel, The Homeless Left, that no longer exists. They said our conversations were too dangerous. And that's unfortunate because, as you guys know, these conversations are important. And we're going to keep having them. We're not going to let one YouTube channel being taken away stop us from the fight, because it's a fight every day against the censorship industrial complex. It's a fight against the war machine, Israel, U.S., American imperialism, British imperialism, and more than that, it's a fight against the propaganda machine that they call the mainstream media, which are just a bunch of propagandists. They're not journalists. We do the journalism. That's why we're here. We're here because they don't do the job they claim to do. That's the only reason we're here. If they did do their job, we wouldn't have to do the show. So you guys know that. That's just how it goes, and that's why we're doing this. So with that, welcome everyone to this space. If you're new to this space, thank you for checking us out. We're the Homeless Left because we started from the left. You might have started from somewhere else. We haven't changed our principles. We don't think you have either. We think you guys are probably here because you're wondering why the group you were part of all of a sudden, or maybe you just had enough of it and that straw that broke the camel's back finally happened. You had one too many bullying situations. One too many times you were told to shut up and get in line. One too many times they told you you're helping the other team if you criticize the people that are on your team, which is not true. That's a lie. That's not how it works. You would never accuse a coach of helping the other team when he calls a timeout and says, what the hell are you guys doing in there? Let's play some defense, right? Well, they told us to shut up. So they said, don't help the Democratic Party. You're helping Trump if you help the Democratic Party. So wherever you're from, wherever you're feeling homeless from, and you're sick of playing team sports, you're sick of playing tribal politics, you want to start thinking for yourself again. It's not about winning and losing. It's about right and wrong. It's about truth and justice. It's about humanity. And it's really about the people versus the power. And as soon as we understand that we actually have more in common with each other than they want us to believe, then we become powerful. They still need our vote. They still need our participation. They still need us to consent. If they didn't need us to consent and be part of the system and agree to be part of the system, they wouldn't waste their time spending all the money on all the propaganda and pushing all of the mandates and basically forcing us into compliance. They wouldn't have to do that. So we do have power. We can take it back and we can say no to complying. We can say no. And then what? What are they going to do then? Once we all get together, there's more of us than them. And that's the thing they don't want us to figure out. But we're figuring it out here on the Homeless Left. Okay, let's get to some. Yeah, we do have some breaking news right off the bat. Let's get that going right now. Here we go. We have some breaking news. This just happened moments ago. The House has officially voted in favor to release the Epstein files. We've been following this all morning. The vote is done. It was an overwhelming vote in the House to basically push the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. We're going to go right now to a live feed and see what's happening on the floor of Congress right now. Here we go.
To another associate of the president's, and maybe she needed intel, you'd have to go talk to somebody that maybe knows what he's up to.
Time has expired. We reserve. Gentleman from Maryland reserves. Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Speaker, I recognize my good friend from Arizona, Mr. Biggs.
How much time is the gentleman recognized? How much time you've allotted the gentleman from Arizona?
How much time do we have left?
The gentleman has 17 minutes remaining.
As much time as the gentleman may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Norman. Thank you for raising this issue.
So they're allowing still people to speak. The vote is over, though. If you guys, we're gonna kind of walk this through. We were already gonna be covering this on Real Fake News. The Epstein, how we got to this point where basically both sides that have been playing the both sides game are now ready to have these files released. Now, are we going to get everything? Those of you guys who have been watching our show know that we're not going to get everything. That's the point. That's why you have to kind of put your pieces together, remove the information that's going to incriminate you, and then pretend that both sides wanted it the whole time. That's what it seems like is happening here. But it was we didn't think it would be this overwhelmingly a vote. I don't think there was any nays against this. There was a few people that did not vote, but overwhelmingly Republicans and Democrats both want these Epstein files released. But it's only to try and hurt the other side. As we know, President Trump has called this a Democrat hoax. He's been back and forth on whether he says, yeah, go ahead and do it, versus we don't need to waste our time and be distracted. And then you have the Democrats who were silent for several years, didn't want to have anything to do with the Epstein files, and all of a sudden they want to have something to do with it because they're ready to incriminate Trump, which has been their plan. I don't think these files that are going to be forced to be released now by the Department of Justice are actually going to incriminate him to a point where they can, I mean, they could probably push some sort of impeachment, but I'm sure the stuff has been redacted at this point, allowing for the vote to go for all yeses, basically. And the being on the wrong side of this, historically speaking, is probably a bad move, because if you vote no on this, if you're a Democrat or Republican, chances are it's going to look pretty bad for you in future years. And so this is why both sides have to align themselves with the we're on the side of truth and justice, but they had to do it at a particular point where it's not going to incriminate the real powerful people, which this is really about. Let's see if anything important here is being said right here. Here we go. Let's look a little bit.
Member of the House. That's all. So I don't know about that rarefied air, and I guess I'm part of the sewage. That's that Mr. Himes said. Yeah. Thanks for agreeing with me, Ms. Plaskett. So she's got us down. Unless you're in the Intelligence Committee, you're crap. That's what the Intel Committee says. But here's the deal. When you're sitting there in a sitting committee and you're having communications with a convicted sex offender, and you're taking their advice on how to ask questions, maybe you got a problem. Maybe your problem is that you've brought disrepute on the House. And this isn't from the articles. This is from the 10,000 pages or so released last week from the Oversight Committee that they received from the Epstein estate. This isn't fishing around. This is coming from real evidence. So I sit here and I listen. Oh, she's the finest member that ever walked the planet, man. That's what you heard. But the bottom line is this. She's sitting there seeking advice and counsel on how to ask questions from Jeffrey Epstein, who this entire body, save one, just condemned. And we want all the evidence. And it's a shame to be here, but for one thing, you made the choice. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'm encouraging everyone in this body to support Mr. Norman's resolution. And I yield back.
Okay. So apparently there is one person that held out on the vote. We're going to find out who that is. But at this point, yeah, it's close to unanimous. The vote to basically push the DOJ to release the files. But if anybody thinks that the actual files are going to come out in an honest way at this point, that you got another thing coming. Even we just found this. USA Today is reporting that they don't believe it's going to actually happen. Let's read a little of that article. Okay, here we go. Yes. So according to USA Today, there's 5 reasons why Epstein files may not come out, even if Congress takes action. So we have the overwhelming vote. This just happened. This is like broke within the hour. The message is clear: make it all public. Yet there's no reason to doubt all the information collected during this investigation will actually see the light of day, even if the Epstein bill passes the Senate, which it probably will. And Trump is going to be in a position where he's going to have to sign it. So those things can happen, but we're still not going to see everything, not even close. And we know we know how this works, because this is what we get with JFK files. This is what we get with the 9/11 files. This is how it works. It's always picky choosy, right? So this, as we know, 2 days ago, Trump he was forced to change his tune by calling the House Republicans to vote, because if he didn't do that, the entire party would have crumbled. So that's the only move he had left in this game of chess. But the chess game between the Democrats and Republicans, make no mistake, This is all theater. It's all theater. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what. So everybody's there. All these different reports are coming out right now. I can't get them all in real time. If anything else breaks during the show, we'll let you know. But as of right now, the breaking news is the House has voted in favor to release the Epstein files. Okay. We have more Epstein for you guys right now because we need to look at how we got here. So I think we might as well go right into the next segment right now. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. Here we go. It's time for Real Fake News Update. We're going to look at how we got to this mess and how the mainstream media is probably to blame for a lot of it. Okay, here we go. It's a Real Fake News Update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Let's look at the Epstein files. As we know, as of today, the House has voted to release the files. We're not holding our breath that we're going to get all the files, but it seems that the Republicans and Democrats are all in sync right now, that they have to be mostly on the right side of history here and tell the public we want them released. How did we get here? Well, let's look at, first of all, during the switch out that happened, the Republicans were trying to hold out. And then 2 days ago, Trump had to change his tune on this. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, still issued this warning before the vote. Check this out.
Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies.
You hear that? Hear that language? It's very dangerous to demand information for the public because you're compromising these institutions that are supposed to be protecting our national security. And we hear this shit all the time. But that's the last ditch effort of Mike Johnson trying to convince us, or whoever's paying attention, whoever's listening to this press conference, to try and convince us that it's for our own good that we don't see the files. And you could hear him stuttering there during that little prepared little mini speech he had. Okay, and then this is Trump basically doing his little maneuver again about it's a Democratic hoax, but listen to how he is also stuttering about whether he's going to be okay to see the files or not, or we should ignore it or don't talk about it. There's a lot of stuttering going on, right? Here we go.
I'm for any, I don't, they can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. And I don't want to take it away from really the greatness of what the Republican Party has accomplished over the last period of time.
So that's that idea that this is a distraction. That doesn't have any more steam. There is no steam to that. Okay. So he's going to still continue to say that the Democrats were the ones that made this up. But isn't it interesting that you didn't hear about this during his first term? They weren't really pushing it at all. You never heard anything about Epstein during Trump's first term. And of course, nobody wanted to talk. No Democrat wanted to talk about Epstein when Biden was president. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you when you had when Biden had full control of all of the House and Senate and the executive branch, it didn't ever occur to anyone that if we want to get Trump, oh, I know, let's go do a bunch of crazy lawsuits against him about books being, let's take a misdemeanor charge in one of his log books and we'll times it by 34 and call it 34 felonies. That'll teach him, right? Or we'll take E. Jean Carroll and how she famously went on Rachel Maddow and said, I can't wait to go on my shopping spree because of this money I just made in this civil lawsuit against Trump, who didn't exactly rate me, but it felt like he was going to, and I just wanted to have some money to go on a shopping spree with Rachel Maddow. So that was the approach that Biden's DOJ took, right? Never considered pushing the Epstein list. I wonder why. So Trump saying it's a hoax, makes no mistake. What he means to say, and he can't say, is you guys are also protecting something. That's why the timing of this is happening right now. It's the timing. So it's not a hoax, but he has to say hoax because that keeps whatever left of his base happy, because it's those are the talking points. So his base, whatever's left of that, can feel good. Like, oh yeah, it's another Democratic hoax, like Russiagate, which actually was a hoax. So it's good. That's why he uses that familiar language. Okay. So let's see what's really going on with the timing. We're talking about timing. And you have Mark Epstein, that's Jeffrey Epstein's brother, telling us this. This is what we've already suspected, but he's telling us exactly what was going on these last few days before the vote occurred. Check it out.
I don't want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
So that sounds to check out. That certainly sounds like it checks out. And we've seen these other files. I mentioned the JFK files. We've talked about the 9/11 files. There's always somebody going through and messing around with it before, like, hey guys, check it out. Here they are. Okay. So we know that game. Certainly that he's onto something accurate there. And he's Jeffrey Epstein's brother, so probably had a source tell him this. With that, we're talking about real fake news. So where does the mainstream media come into play as far as their guilt in how we got to where we are? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene goes on CNN, and there's this character they're playing now. This is Dana Bash. Anderson Cooper's been doing it. All these mostly on MSNBC and CNN. We're gonna look at the CNN one, but this character, this very like bewildered, I don't know what's going on, you tell me. And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene have to help guide the audience of CNN along so they understand what Epstein is really about, which is not really about the sex trafficking, although that's a big part of it. It's really about the Mossad.
About something you posted just yesterday on X. You questioned who and what country is putting so much pressure on Trump to keep the Epstein files hidden. And you included a picture about donations from pro-Israel lobbying group AIPAC. What are you trying to say there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's the question that many Americans are asking, especially when we saw information recently come out in these emails that the Oversight Committee that I serve on has released. And we saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business deals with them, also business deals that involved the Israeli government, and seems to have led into their intel agencies. And I think the right.
Is she going to say the Mossad, or is she just saying intel agencies and Israeli government? She basically saying the Mossad, but he prepared this well. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene certainly prepared very well for this. It was probably up the night before, going over all of her talking points, and she's very, very prepared for this. It's a big deal that she's getting to say this, not just on CNN, specifically to Dana Bash, who is one of the biggest Zionists, one of the biggest sellout propagandists on all of mainstream media. This is somebody who deliberately goes after Palestinian supporters. She pushes Zionist agenda. She pushes anti-Semitism is the biggest problem. And worse than anything, she allows people on her show to parade around and gloat about murdering Hamas and blowing up children because they're going to grow up to be terrorists and be Hamas. And she allows that kind of celebration going on because Israel, Israel, Israel. So this is the show that Marjorie Taylor Greene is on right now, telling us, she didn't say the word Mossad, but she's saying that by incriminating the Israeli government and Israeli intelligence agencies, i.e. Mossad.
Question is to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel? And I'm proud to say I don't take money from AIPAC. I don't take money from any special group of people. I'm just representing my district and the American people. And so that's what I was referring to.
I just want to be clear. Are you saying Israel is pushing the president of the United States to cover up the Epstein files? And what evidence do you have that that is the case?
I simply just asked out loud, is there a foreign government? And it could be any foreign government, but
she's good. She's good. I like this. And Dan and Bash, it's funny because if this conversation happened 2 years ago, it wouldn't go like this. Dan and Bash wouldn't have to ask that question. She would just cut to a commercial. She would change the subject. She would say, "Do you condemn Hamas?" She would do. But in this case, they're losing their audience. The audience knows that something's wrong here. And so the question has to be asked. And what happens is Marjorie Taylor Greene does not take the bait and say, that's what I'm saying, because then she doesn't have the actual proof in front of her. But she's saying, I'm asking a question. And what she's really saying is, I'm doing your job, Dana. I'm doing your job because you don't ask these questions. So I'm asking them. And it's very good. So very well prepared, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
is a foreign government pushing to keep this covered up because people just don't understand the big fight against.
Well, you had
releasing these
AIPAC
files.
up there. It was pretty clear which government you were talking about.
That I'm questioning that government in particular and questioning any other foreign government.
You know, that was a giveaway. I'm going to tell you guys right now. That was a giveaway by Dan and Bash, accidental slip, because Marjorie Taylor Greene does not take the bait, right? She doesn't say, yes, I'm saying this, because then she can't back it up with the proof in her hand. So she says, I'm asking a question. Dan and Bash just fell into a trap. And I'm going to tell you what that trap is. AIPAC was on the tweets, on the post. AIPAC is on paper, it's not listed as a foreign lobbyist. That's because if it was listed as a foreign lobbyist, it would have to register as one. Therefore, we would have transparency about AIPAC. They don't have transparency because they pretend that they are an American group that happens to do stuff that is pro-Israel. So for her to say, we know what country you're talking about when we see AIPAC, she's admitting without saying it that we all know that AIPAC is a foreign lobbyist. Therefore, breaking all the rules that we know all the way back to JFK 1963, who demanded that AIPAC, at the time it was called the American Zionists, demanding that the American Zionists register as a foreign lobbyist and not have nuclear weapons in Israel. Both of those requests, he got a big FU, and he was dead a month later. We know that's the timeline. So that's what's going on there. But the conversation happening on CNN right now, that's important. So shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene for getting that. There's still people in place that are deflecting. They're absolutely deflecting right now. I'm going to show you this one because I know this has been going around. We didn't have a chance to report on this and respond to this, but you guys probably heard what happened with Megyn Kelly. I'm going to play the clip, and then I'm going to connect the dots for you on what's really going on here and why Megyn Kelly is saying these things about what constitutes pedophilia as far as Jeffrey Epstein is concerned. Here's the clip, and this one went viral, and you guys would probably know why it went viral. Here we go.
For Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
So what she's doing there is actually kind of disgusting. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Because separately from Epstein, on one hand, you could have a discussion about this. You could say, hey, should there be different criminal punishments, whether you're raping a 5-year-old or raping a 15-year-old? Is there different levels of punishment? You could have that discussion. But the reason this is so disgusting that she's doing this in regards to Epstein is that's not the discussion we're supposed to be having about Epstein, and she knows it. And her job is to pretend that that's what the debate is. And that's a very manipulative tactic to make it look like that's what people are debating about. What type of pedophile was Epstein? That's not the debate. That's not the discussion. The discussion is the Mossad. The discussion is Israel. That's the discussion. And again, good for Marjorie Taylor Greene for bringing that on to CNN. Thomas Massie also did. He brought it to Anderson Cooper. I'll play you that clip in a second. Massie also did this. But the point is, people like Megyn Kelly, their job is to pretend that they're getting to the bottom of this because she knows somebody who knows someone. And all that could be true. But the fact that she's using airtime to talk about that is designed to get the discussion off of Israel. That's what that is. That's all that is. If it was just about who did Jeffrey Epstein rape or molest and what age were they, this conversation would have been over with years ago. She knows that. We know that. Don't be distracted by that. Don't be distracted. And so people dragging Megyn Kelly, she's taking a hit she's taking one for the team. I think she's taking one for the team here. Team Israel. She's taking one for the team. She's bending over and taking it and being that distraction for that particular demographic. But we know not to listen to Megyn Kelly, even though she got a few things right on COVID. Her job is to deflect and to shame and to pretend she wants nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. She knows exactly what's going on, and she does the same thing about, I know people, and they wouldn't have done this. So I know. So don't listen to that. Don't be distracted. The discussion on Epstein, it's always comes back to Israel. That's what it's about. So luckily, there is Marjorie Taylor Greene bringing it to CNN. Here's a quick one of Massie bringing it to Anderson Cooper, also on CNN. This is also important that this is happening on mainstream right now.
Massie, is it clear to you why, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, when they were podcasters, were saying one thing, and then when they got in power and in a position to actually see things and release things with the president's approval, they suddenly were singing a different tune? Do you know why?
Well, the vice president and the attorney general made the same about face after they got into office. You know, I have always maintained that it's not because Trump is in these files that he doesn't want them released. I've thought that he's trying to protect rich and powerful friends of his who may not even be partisan. They may be above Republican or Democrat because they're billionaires and they figure they can pay off whatever judge or whatever party's in power.
So what Massey's doing right there is he's educating the audience that there's something bigger than Democrats versus Republicans. And of course, Anderson Cooper has to play dumb. And this is the position they put themselves in. CNN, MSNBC have put themselves in a position where their only move left is to play dumb and say, help me understand this. I don't get it. That's the only move they have, because they were the ones pushing this garbage at the right time and then not at the wrong time. And I want to remind you again, those 4 years of Biden, the only thing out of the Democrats' mouth, and that includes CNN and MSNBC and mainstream media outlets, the only thing out of their mouth in regards to any sort of sex trafficking allegations or any sort of concept of or any sort of response regarding a sex trafficking ring, anything to do with billionaires running that, not even directed at Trump or anybody. Their only response was that's QAnon garbage. And if you went to go see the movie Sound of Freedom, you were called a QAnon garbage conspiracy theorist by these people. So don't pretend that the media is trying to figure this out with us. They're not. So they're in a position of playing dumb now, while people like Thomas Massey has to educate the audience about how politics really works. It's the billionaires above the billionaires that can do whatever they want, and they don't give a shit what D or R is in any position, because everyone is for sale, not just with bribing. Everyone's for sale with blackmailing. That's how it works. So good on Massey for getting that in there. We need to educate our audiences about this. And I haven't mentioned Fox News, so we'll end this segment, Real Fake News, on one more funny thing, because I saw this go around. It's pretty funny because we're talking about MSNBC, CNN playing dumb right now. How does this work? What's going on? Are we getting Trump? Are we not getting Trump? Everyone just voted yes on this. Okay, duh. Well, what's Fox News doing? Well, Fox News is trying not to cover this at all. They're having a harder time than anyone, and this is what they're covering on their network. And this is pretty funny. CNN, Trump in Epstein files. NBC, Trump in Epstein files. ABC, Trump in Epstein files. Fox, Taco Bell items rumored to be removed from the menu. And that is a Real Fake News update, not brought to you by Pfizer. Okay. We got some more show for you guys. We are ready. Oh man, we got some good stories coming up. And I am happy to be able to do these stories with our co-host today. Let's go ahead and bring him in. You know him, you love him. Please welcome back to the Home's Left, Jay Scott.
What's going on, Matt? Feeling good today, man. I'm excited, man. I gotta say, finally the swamp is gonna be drained. And I found out a little bit about Trump's experience draining the swamp. Did you cover the Bubba story yet? Because it sounds like he's been draining the swamp for a very long time. He's got a lot of practice draining the swamp, and now we know all about how good Trump can drain the swamp. I'm just saying. I mean, it must give people a lot of confidence that he's been doing this for so long, draining the swamp. If you get what I'm talking about. Did you cover the Bubba story yet?
The Bubba story. We haven't covered it in detail here, but I do think it's another one of those elements that really, if people that weren't paying attention and they see this, I'm sure a lot of people on the left are very confused about it because it does incriminate their dude, right? Their guy. So wait a minute. Is it starting to make sense now? Are we starting to understand why both parties have been protecting this for so long? Is it starting, guys? Or is Trump still the unique evil dude that does all the evil stuff on his own and nobody saw it coming, right? Except one guy, Slick Willie, right?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, like, the Democrats didn't mention this at all, when Biden was in power, and now all of a sudden Trump's in power and they pretend they care all about it. I mean, there's so much going on in this story, man. I know you saw it with Plaskett too, the representative from the Virgin Islands, like the Democrat was actively texting her, texting Epstein to figure out what questions to ask, during a congressional interrogation session. So clearly the Democrats work at least as tightly with Epstein as the Trump administration. And Trump appointed a bunch of Epstein associates in his last administration and in this one. So it's definitely not just one party. So, that's why I'm glad we got this lane, man, because most of the media, they just pick a side and, we call it straight down the middle.
Absolutely. Well, let's kick it off today with this Twitter Grok Hebrew story, because I think, Jay, you kind of called this one in advance. You saw it coming before anybody, and I gotta give you the tip of the hat on that one.
I wish I could take credit for it. I can't even take credit for it. I'll be honest with you. I did hear it as a joke on Jimmy Dore, like a couple months back, but he was joking when he said it. But it was one of those things you heard and you're like, that makes a lot of sense, and it stuck in my mind. And, I just felt it was coming. But when you think about the timing, I did call it like a couple days before, and then it actually happened. So that made it pretty funny. But I can't take full credit for it. I'll take half credit for that.
Take half credit. But if you guys haven't heard, X has officially disabled translations of Hebrew posts. And they're telling us this isn't conspiracy, like, hey, what do you guys think happened here? No, just ask Grok. He'll tell you. This is what happened. This is from Grok. Translations from Hebrew was disabled because it often amplified inflammatory or policy violating content. Wow, what do you mean, Grok? How would that amplify? Just what people are saying in Hebrew is, okay. Well, like calls for violence in Hebrew. Now, what kind of people would do something like that to a global audience via inaccurate or literal renditions? X prioritizes free speech for opinions, but limits features that extrabate harm without suspending originals. No evidence supports targeting any group. It's about platform integrity amid documented spikes in Hebrew hate speech. Help me break this down, Jay. Is Grok admitting that we have a problem with users on the platform who happen to speak Hebrew? What's the problem here that it's admitting to, right?
Well, the problem is we don't understand that genocide is justified. And because we don't understand that, Grok is protecting us from the information, because there might be some crazy conspiracy theorists out there that think Palestinian women and children don't deserve to be treated like Amalek and killed. Like, I got to bring this up every time, man. Like, over 60% of Israeli citizens are in favor of treating every Palestinian like Amalek. That means they want to kill the entire population because they think, they're ungodly or, they're heathens. They're Goyim. They're like the worst of the Goyim, like to that sect of the Israeli population, which is unusually large. And, we've been talking about it for a while. Like, if you listen to what they say in Hebrew, it's very different from what we hear in English. So I guess now, people are getting more and more aware of the fact that they tell the truth in Hebrew all the time. And now we're in the position where Grok is straight up taking the position that they're just going to prevent us from understanding what they're saying, which will actually have, again, the opposite effect. Because when people realize what's going on, now they're going to realize, oh, wow. So Israelis talk so crazy that they don't want the rest of us to understand what's going on. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it's because we don't understand that the genocide of Palestinians is actually justified. So maybe we need to, research that part a little bit more. But
Yeah.
it's
We
all
gotta-
about
yeah.
protecting us. They're
Yeah,
just trying to
because
protect
we're the problem, right? That's what you're
Mhm.
saying. We're the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
we don't we can't possibly understand the mindset of a Zionist, which is, it's not that there's better than everyone with the superiority element and like that it's not all the stuff they say. We don't understand. So if we would learn Hebrew, then we would understand, but they're not going to translate for us because we get the wrong idea about how you can justify genocide, because we don't know how to do that in our brains, how to justify it, but they seem to. Can I just chime in real quick here? I wanted to give a shout out. Do Dissidents has rated the stream. Welcome all you Do Dissidents viewers. Welcome to the Homeless
guys.
Laugh. We love having you guys. Thanks for being here. Yeah, go ahead and hit the like, and don't forget the channel subscribe if you haven't done that, because you guys can get notifications when we go live, and we're here every Tuesday and Thursday all throughout the afternoon. And we love Do Dissidents and those guys as well. Obviously, we're all in the same camp, just trying to get you guys the information and have the conversations that we're entitled to have. So that's that. So yeah, Jay, go for it.
Yeah, and I just want people to think about this, right? Al Qaeda and ISIS tend to have less money than the average Israeli, and they may not as many of them have access to smartphones and computers all the time. Plus, they feel like maybe more of their operation needs to be secret. I guess the main difference between them and a lot of Israelis is Israelis believe that their cause is justified, I guess. So they are allowed to talk about it in publics. But, the mindset, unfortunately, I think is hard to separate. They're both extreme. Like Zionism has evolved into an extremist ideology. And it didn't start out 100% that way. There were always elements of it there. But the current implementation of Zionism is simply a supremacist ideology. And, the more people look into what they're saying over there, the more people are waking up to what's going on. So I don't know how much longer they'll be able to do that. But, I did bring 2 props. I do want to share real quick. I actually ordered 2 new books. You can't even see it.
Oh, no, we got it. You put it back. I can see it.
Yeah, but it's backwards. It's a book by Anthony Sutton. It's called Wall Street and the Rise of Hitler, and it talks a lot about how we funded his rise over here. And from the same author, sorry, I shut the table. He actually died under very mysterious circumstances shortly after he wrote this book. But it's called America's Secret Establishment, the Introduction to the Order of Skull and Bones. And one thing that is a really interesting overlap, right, between the Order of Skull and Bones and, say, the Epstein files is when you get inducted into this secret society, part of the pledging process is you have to tell all your deepest, darkest secrets that you don't want anyone to know. So maybe it's possible there's a little bit of blackmail going on. I mean, I don't know. But, I think we definitely need to continue talking about Zionism. But I don't know if you noticed this, but the Pope was brought up several times in the Epstein files. The Vatican was brought up several times in the Epstein files. We got to remember, Zionists are the front line. They're a faction just like Al Qaeda and ISIS. I still don't think they're at the top of that, pyramid. But they're a very powerful force that we have to talk about. But I'll be doing some reading, and after I got the whole book down, we'll talk more about that part. But there's a lot of interest in history there.
Looking forward to that, Jay. And look, we're in an ongoing investigation. That's the idea, guys. We're not here telling you, here's the case closed. We got everything done. Everything checks out. We're about asking the questions, doing our own research, right? You guys know about doing your own research. And it's an ongoing thing. So what you're talking about there, that's important. We are dissecting the Israeli lobbies. We're dissecting the Mossad. We're dissecting we're looking at historical context. But there are levels and echelons that we haven't fully comprehended, and we're working on it. So as we do it, it's important that we apply these principles throughout. And I think that the number one lesson we can take with us as we're doing our investigation is that there are people of power, and there's people above that, and there's people above that, and to fully understand the magnitude of how power works we have to understand that there's a difference between millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires. Those are a lot different things going on there. And we it's hard for us to understand. We think it's rich and poor, but we don't understand how power and money actually works when you, and we played a clip of Massey earlier, who's explaining to the CNN audience that once you get to a level of billionaire, you don't care about political party anymore. That doesn't matter. And so people don't understand that.
And that's what I want people to remember too. Epstein wasn't actually that rich in billionaire terms compared to you and me. Of course, he was like, you know, super rich, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But compared to Elon Musk, the billionaires of the world, like, you know, he was worth a couple $100 million. So he's not really that high up on the billionaire ranking level, but his lifestyle was definitely, you know, like equal to that of, you know, one of those. So
this is why we don't want to fall for this like bad apple. Epstein was, Megyn Kelly says, what type of pedophile was he? That's not the question, Megan. And you know, that's not the question. We're talking about who's controlling him above that. It's how power works. He was an agent of something bigger. So if we're not talking about that, we're not being honest in our discussion.
And think about it. And it's all about the sexual aspect of it. You know, when they talk about it on the news, they're not really talking that much about how it's being used. And that's why I really think it's important people understand, you know, this is a technique that the establishment has been using for hundreds of years, long before Zionism started. Because, you know, again, and I just want people to think about this. Prescott Bush funded the Nazis. The Nazis inspired a bunch of European Jews to leave and go to Palestine. His son, George W. Bush, started a war in the Middle East in the same area that all of them went to. And then his grandson, George W. Bush Jr., also went into the same area and destroyed the whole area. And all three of them were members of that same group, the Skull and Bones. And his second election, George Bush Jr.'s second election, was against a fellow member of the Skull and Bones, John Kerry. So, you know, this is just one. America was founded by Freemasons, man. And, you know, they all kind of lead back to the similar places. So this is why I think we need to have a discussion about what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, to close out the Twitter canceling Hebrew translation, I like this response from Adamy Media because he's been really big on the anti-Zionist posting. He goes, "This is insane. These people are sick and evil. Never forget, the majority of them support genocide." I'm not using emotional or hyperbolic language here. This is based on every survey and poll of the Israeli people, as Jay mentioned. 100%. This is not opinion. This is fact.
Just look up Israeli poll Amalek and then understand what they mean by that. And it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. So.
All right, moving on. We got another Israel story for you guys. This one, if you guys missed this one, you're gonna love it because it is so like Saturday Night Live sketch, like I would say, and I'm only saying, like, I can't imagine that the guy knew he was doing this on camera. This is Eric Adams, and we know that when you finish your mayoral run, right? So in New York, he's finishing his run, Mandami's taking over, and what you do is you go visit your friends and your pals, right, in Israel. That's what you do. You go there before you start, you go there during, and you go there after. It's kind of a thing. So that's not.
You got to report to your bosses, man. Like, you know, you got the first level bosses, then the big bosses, but you got to report to your immediate bosses. You know,
you got to report
once your job is done.
And so this scene was captured on camera. It's not like a secret filming. He knew the cameras were out. He didn't care. And it's so bizarre that that's the time we're living in. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, this is it. This is Eric Adams telling his overlords in Israel who he worked for this entire time. And while he's being filmed, and he doesn't seem to care that he's being filmed.
Male T here in Israel. And as I finish, I wanted to come back here to Israel and let you know that I serve you as the mayor, but I want to continue to have the title that's more important to me than anything. I'm your brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I thought he was supposed to serve the residents of New York. I guess I got that part confused again. I mean, I don't know. Like he was a mayor of New York, or I don't know, Tel Aviv or New York. I don't know.
Well, apparently it was Tel Aviv this whole time, but it's worse than that because if for whatever reason, like we had some weird law where because New York has so many Jewish population that they had some sort of tweak where you were allowed to vote if you were like, let's say there was a dual citizenship thing and you were allowed to vote for mayor in Tel Aviv. Let's just pretend, because that's not true, but let's say then this would make a little more sense that you go say I serve you. But when you're saying I serve people right to their face that didn't vote for you, that means you're not serving them as voters, you're serving them as your handlers. And he's saying it out loud, and that's why we're saying he's admitting that he's a slave to this country that didn't vote for him. They ordered him to do whatever he had to do to get in, finished his term, and now he has to, like you said, Jay, he has to go back and check in with his handlers, his masters. Yeah.
If he was like a director in an international nonprofit that had a large chapter in Israel, maybe that would have made sense. But his actual job is mayor of New York City. There are Jewish people in New York City, but guess what? There's also a lot of Jamaicans in New York City. Did you know that, Matt? I don't see him flying to Kingston. Nope. And telling the rich people in Kingston, oh yeah, I did my job and I served you guys during my, last couple terms over here. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just funny. It's not about anti-Semitism. It's just about recognizing reality at this point. And, I really hope one day, well, we're already at that day where the anti-Semitism thing isn't landing anymore, but it's disgusting that they continue trying to hide behind it, because the more they do that, the more they put Jewish people all over the world in danger. The more they tie Israel to Judaism, the more danger Jews are actually in. So the biggest cause of anti-Semitism in the world is Israel.
Yeah. So he put this up, and I want to ask you this, Jay, because he's saying, okay, God, as I stand at the Western Wall, I join all those of faith who stood here before me. I'm a little confused on Western Wall. Can you help me with that? Didn't it used to be called the Wailing Wall? What is Western Wall? Is it been that? Is that what it's been called?
I have no idea. I wish I could tell you.
Has it been recoined as Western Wall?
I don't know. Maybe the nickname of it is Wailing Wall because they all go there and act a fool and cry. Yeah. When they touch it. But like maybe the real name of it is Western Wall. I couldn't tell you the reason behind it. It's like one of the weirdest, cult things, you could imagine actually. But all of our politicians do it, and funnily enough, even what's his name? It's not just our politicians, like Javier Milei, the current president of Argentina. He had the worst one. Like he was in tears when he was over there. And I don't know if you caught this, but we just gave his country $40 billion the other day and bailed them out after their experiment in libertarianism has failed, it seems like we got to put sanctions on all the companies, on all the countries that try to implement socialism to attack them, but we bail out all the capitalist countries that fail. So, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic how that plays out in South America. Not all of them, but in South America, which is supposed to be our domain, we really target anyone who has a different idea from what I guess our elites want. So, yeah.
Well, for those of you out there who still think China is the problem, this just in, don't you hate how China controls all of our politicians? They make them go touch this Great Wall of China and swear allegiance to the CCP. I mean, look at that. We finally caught them red-handed, huh, Jay? We caught them all. Oh, wait a minute. They don't do that.
Sneaky Chinese.
Isn't that funny? Like we know that every one of them go and do this, but this is the thing that seemingly a lot of the country still thinks this is the problem. So I thought that was a funny one that came up on my feed. But Yep. There it is. There's one more. I want to play one more thing about Eric Adams here before we move on here, because you guys know. Well, I'm going to play this clip. So Mamdani, who's taking his place, right? And a lot of these same people that think China is communism is coming. It's also Sharia law is coming. And Mamdani, who's the guy who said I won't go to Israel, and that was the moment he won, right? He was asked by local ABC at New York about the arresting of Netanyahu, if that's something he would do. And of course, he has an answer prepared, which is very eloquent and he's very good. And this is that clip. And I'm gonna show you guys Eric Adams' response to it, which is also very telling. So here is Mamdani telling us his stance on Netanyahu, whether he should be arrested, because the international court says he should.
You would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu based on the 2024 International Court arrest warrant. Next UN General Assembly, as mayor, would you do that?
So I've said time and again that I believe this is a city of international law, and being a city of international law means looking to uphold international law, and that means upholding the warrants from the International Criminal Court, whether they're for Benjamin Netanyahu or Vladimir Putin. I think that that's critically important to showcase our values.
Look at how he has to throw in Putin. That's good.
You can't argue against that because he knows who he's talking to. Are they going to tell him, no, you can't arrest Putin? So why the double standard?
Yeah. So he knows who he's talking to. And they're like, oh, that checks out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's one of the good guys, I guess. Yep. I guess I had him wrong. Yeah.
And unlike Donald Trump, I'm someone who looks to exist within the confines of the laws that we have. So I will look to exhaust every legal possibility, not to create my own laws to do so.
On the other hand, this is also a world event. Does that not count a little bit?
Well, I think we are a global city, but I also think what New Yorkers are looking for is consistency in the way in which we talk about our values and follow through on them. And that's why I think these warrants from the International Criminal Court, they are worth fully exploring every legal possibility to actually follow through on.
Wow, he is so well rehearsed, man. He is like Obama must have come over and like practiced with him, like at least a couple hours a week every weekend, man. Just like, hey, dude, we got.
How long is his term? Can he run for president in 2028? Because Gavin Newsom ain't gonna do it, man. I know he just announced it, but there's no way he's winning. So, but Mamdani, he might be able to pull the trick, man. Although probably not, because he's not going to deliver, in my opinion, on most of his promises in New York. So by the time the presidential election comes around, people will probably know a little bit more about who he is. But I hope I'm wrong. Maybe he does have something up his sleeve and he's not controlled by the Democratic Party.
Dude, listen, the reason I'm making the Obama comparison is because that's a guy that knows how to words. Feel good. Doesn't that sound nice, what he said about Netanyahu? Is he ever going to have? No effing way. There's not a chance in hell if he were to even consider the action it must take to order any sort of arrest of Netanyahu. They would take him down so fast. No, not allowed. You can talk about it, just like AOC can talk about taxing the rich and blah, 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 blah. It feels good. Oh, look at that. Look at that defiant character in the Democratic Party, sticking it to Mama Bear, sticking it right. No. It's just words. But speaking of words, here's Eric Adams, and you understand this is a guy who has to serve his masters at all costs, and he's asked about this. And this is the guy taking his place. It must be really hard for him to answer this question, but check this out.
New York, that is going to carry out that directive from there. And he knows that. And so the mere fact that he continues to state that, it tells us that he's more concerned about volatile rhetoric that feeds to his party, the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. This is what they want to hear, and this is what they believe. And their anti-Israel energy.
Anti-Israel, of course, it's anti-Israel to want to be, to acknowledge the International Criminal Court as an arrest warrant on the dude. Of course, that's anti-Israel. Okay.
Is misguided. Israel has been a real partner in the stability of public safety to neutralize Iran, neutralize Hezbollah, neutralize ISIS, neutralize Hamas. These are the same.
Is he using the word neutralize? Like I hear him say neutralize. I feel like vaporize, like bomb here, bomb there, bomb everywhere. They've been really good about just murdering people on all sides, right?
I mean,
Like-
he's leaving out the part about us and Israel funding all of those organizations that he just spoke about. But, I guess I don't know. I mean, you know how it goes, man. We create the problems that we have the answer to. That's like our model that we continuously use. So, yeah, can't say I'm surprised.
Yep. All right. We're going to do an update on Maha. Let me set this real quick. Jay, you were with us when we covered. I still have to put that one up on that segment. That was a good one. We covered the Susie Wiles and Stephanie Spear being called out, right? Well, there's an update to that. I'm just trying to get it set here. So hold on one second.
Yeah, and for anyone who I guess hasn't been following the overall pattern of what's been happening in Maha, it's been big announcements, big headlines that people take credit for, and then it gets walked back and watered down after the big headlines come out, but people just remember the big headlines. But, that being said, there is a little bit of progress, and I will give a little bit of credit to the fact that at least now we're having a more honest conversation. You're seeing Florida, take a real assessment of its vaccine schedule. And apparently they're moving towards a model where, the childhood vaccines that are currently all mandated may be optional. So there's a conversation that is being had. However, the main promise and literally the main reason why RFK gained so much momentum was because he was one of the few people that was willing to tell the truth about what was happening with the mRNA shots. That's how I actually heard about RFK Jr. in the first place, because he was placed on that disinformation dozen list. I don't know if you remember that, but he was one of the top quote unquote misinformation spreaders. And then when he announced his candidacy, I remembered him from that list. So I tuned in to see what he was talking about. And that was what caught my eye with this campaign. And then since he's gotten into power, all of a sudden he switched it from these shots are dangerous and need to be pulled to, well, we'll give people the choice on if they want to poison themselves and, cause not only harm to themselves, but also more costs to the system. Because guess what? We all pay for every person that gets sick. So on top of the suffering that they have to go through, we're all paying financial consequences on top of the moral consequences of all the death and harm being caused. So, it's been a pretty big pivot, actually.
Yeah. And we like to, a little win here and there. We will acknowledge it and enjoy it. But overall, we're not doing the thing that Maha signed us up to do. It's not happening. So we're going to call this segment RFK Jr. defends his pharma overlords. And, oh, wait, I got to spell that right. Hold on. Overlords. That's funny.
It does feel like a pharma overload, to be honest with you.
Yes,
now,
that's
on
right.
top
That's
of the
right.
mRNA, he wants to put some Ozempic in there too. So that's a little Freudian slip.
Yeah.
So we are being overloaded with more pharma too. So it's a punt. It's a nice punt.
It's a slip. Yeah, Freudian slip, whatever you want to call it. But make no mistake, RFK Jr. is defending his pharma overlords while he punches down at the people who got him where he's at. That's happening. And look, this is not a let's talk crap on RFK Jr.'s session, but you guys have to understand how this went down. So let's start with this, because we covered this last week. This is where Dr. Stephen Hatfield was fired. He was one of the few men of integrity within HHS. And he described it as a coup to overthrow Mr. Kennedy, and it was led by Chief of Staff Matt Buckham. So the reason why Hatfield stood out was because he was able to at least help inform. And I like how, RFK doesn't know. He needs someone to tell him. He needs someone to tell. We've heard that the whole way. Okay, well, guess what? Hatfield was the guy who told him, you got to get this $500 million out of it. Just get it out. Look, we might not put anyone in jail. We might not get it off the shelf, but stop the investments in the contract. So he did that. That's one of the bigger small wins we got. Where did that money go to? That's another story. We covered that. We won't go down that route, but you guys know every time you move money out of one thing, Where does it go next? We should always look at that. But that was the one success that Hatfield had. But then he was fired. This is what happened next. You had medical freedom doctors stepping up, like friend of the show, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, who talked with Hatfield, and this is what he revealed. And that was Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles was responsible for this. Here we go.
I think ultimately behind it is Susie Wiles. Unfortunately, she's President Trump's chief of staff. They didn't want the status quo changed, and they've jumped into bed with Big Pharma. Americans are being shined on. There's not going to be any criminal prosecutions of Fauci and these other people. There's not going to be any RICOs. You're not going to break Pfizer up. In fact, the president was shaking hands with the head of Pfizer the other day and announcing that he'd had a messenger RNA COVID vaccine. One, that he didn't need. Two, isn't for the strain that's circulating now. And poor Mr. Kennedy's in the background looking like the emperor with no clothes. This is outrageous.
Something tells me that he would have walked if he didn't get fired at some point. But no, he seems like a guy that would fight to the end. But I'm sure he was one of the most vocal. And we saw that happen. We saw those two things he mentioned was the last things that happened before he was fired. And that was the $60 billion deal with Borda that there he is. There's RFK Jr. standing there like everything's cool. You're doing a business deal with the guy that we're supposed to be putting in jail. And then you go on social media and say, I just got my new COVID vaccine booster. Did you get yours yet? So those are obvious deflections of the movement itself on purpose, not accidental, right?
Yeah, I mean, RFK during his campaign specifically spoke about how there was grounds to advance a Nuremberg trial, like crimes against humanity for what happened during COVID. He specifically spoke about that, like during his campaign. And now he decided to join with Trump, whose chief of staff is a Pfizer lobbyist and someone who also managed to campaign for Netanyahu. Like, that's just a small sample. And she's also a lobbyist for Gavi, which is Bill Gates, organization too. So like at the end of the day, it's such a big 180 because all the people that RFK was campaigning against are directly affiliated with the Trump administration in one form or another. And like, again, guys, to be completely honest with you, all of this was easily foreseeable because Trump didn't hide the money trails. Trump didn't really hide who he was. That's why personally, I never joined the Maha Coalition. And no offense to anyone who did, want to have hope and want to believe in it. But I saw who Trump was in the first term. I know what it's like to be let down by Obama, to be let down by Bernie Sanders. And I saw where it was going. And unfortunately, it's playing out how I thought it would. That doesn't mean I'm not disappointed. That doesn't mean I hope I'm wrong. That doesn't mean there isn't a way for him to turn it around. But it's tough right now, man. It's real tough.
Yeah. So, well, let's look at the response from RFK Jr. and then we'll look a little more at Susie, like you're mentioning. This isn't just some random person that you can just, who using her as a scapegoat. But RFK Jr. is not going to validate any of these discussions or any of these questions. Here's what he decided to tweet out.
And really quick, right before you do that, I want everyone to remember what the chief of staff does. They decide Trump's schedule and who gets to meet with Trump, and they have huge power over personnel decisions, which is why people think that she was involved with this situation. But play the clip.
No, this is his tweet that went out.
Oh, sorry.
He says, the Maha movement has no better friend in DC than Susie Wiles, who has supported every effort to end the chronic disease epidemic and restore health freedom to every American. Now, he knows that that's not what Maha was about. That was a secondary part of Maha. Maha was about stopping mRNA. That's where it started from. Then we understood that it was bigger than that. We could do these other things too, but that was the main thing. Okay, so a small number of, this is the part, man, this is the part that kills me. A small number of chaos agents are now targeting Susie out of ignorance or malice. Let's focus on our extraordinary achievements. Well, this sounds like a Trump quote. Let's focus on our extraordinary achievements. Let's not worry about the Epstein files. Let's look at how great we are to date and the monumental work. Wow, I wonder if Trump helped them with this one. The monumental work that still needs to be done. I refuse to be distracted by a Democratic hoax, right? You know what I'm saying? It's the same blueprint of nothing to see here and punching down at people. Let's build our coalition instead of splintering it. Okay. Oh, and then there's this follow-up about Stephanie Spear, who we know also is a big part of who gets to come in and who gets to go out. It's her job is the barricade. She's been that person the whole way since before he got on the Trump campaign, the whole way through the whole campaign season. Stephanie Spear was the person, and she's like many former Democrats, mine included. She drank okay. So this is defending her past. I'm not so concerned on that part about what Stephanie tweeted out about Trump in the past. I don't really care about that. But again, this is somebody who has a lot of power and also is a known Zionist as well. That's the other part that no one's talking about, which is why you can't really talk about who's making decisions behind the scenes and why he can't do the thing he's doing.
And you know the craziest part about all this? Right now, he's framing it as drank the Kool-Aid of Trump derangement syndrome when he was wildly critical of Trump during his campaign. And I wish I had the clip of him saying this, but I listened to a ton of RFK speeches and interviews like during the campaign, and he clearly said multiple times, it's not your job to be friendly with politicians and to support politicians. Like, it's your job to hold politicians accountable. If they tell you they're going to do something and they don't follow through with that, it's your job to hold them accountable. So all we're doing right now is literally exactly what he said we should do before he decided to join with Trump. And what did we get in response to that from him? A label of being a quote unquote chaos agent. And that's the most disingenuous part, because all I'm doing is following your instructions. Sorry, another Freudian slip. But all I'm doing is following your instructions. I'm listening to 2024 RFK instead of 2025 RFK.
Yeah. Well, look at this. We got some pushback. There's Shannon Joy. False. Are you serious? Dr. Kirk Moore, friend of the show. Did you actually write this, or was your account hacked, you piece of S? There's Mary Talley Bowden. She is responding because she knows that this is literally leveled at her. And she still takes the high road here and says, okay, so what you're saying then is we're not allowed to blame Susie or Stephanie for the mRNA shots, which are still on the freaking shelves. We need to blame you then. Is that what you're saying? And of course, RFK Jr. does not respond. There's some back and forth where Mary Bowden, she is like, dude, you can call me up, man. And she also had to have this fight with, I'm not going to get into the one with Robert Malone, but another person coming at her and publicly, it's like, dude, you have my foot. Let's talk. You always were about, and you know, Malone aside, but RFK Jr. always championed himself as somebody who reaches out and discusses stuff. So we know, we're not stupid. We all know that Mary Talley Bowden is the one being implicated in this tweet as chaos agent. She's the one. There's others also being implicated, but that's the main one because she's the one that was having that discussion when the doctor said it's Susie Wiles. That's who did it. And she was there. So I guess she's the chaos agent. And she's still taking the high road here, by the way, I have to say. Health Ranger says very eloquently, no, disagree. Susie Wiles is best friends with Big Pharma. High-level executive at Mercury. What is Mercury? We'll show you guys that in a second. Clients all over big food giants and processed food, junk foods. That's who Susie Wiles is, a top executive at Mercury. Wiles is the gatekeeping Trump, has been gatekeeping Trump and destroying Maha and MAGA credibility. And that's, in my view, most of the movement sees her as toxic to the core principles that Maha and MAGA once stood for. When Trump partners with Pfizer, that's due to Susie. That's why you had Alfred Borda in the room getting that $60 billion deal, as Pfizer was one of the top clients of Mercury. And it goes on. And this is Laura Lee saying, look, far from being a chaos agent, Maha Action, and this is good because Maha Action is one of the foremost supporters of Secretary Kennedy, and Maha Action did a whole breakdown of Susie Wiles. And it says here they have currently 60,000 subscribers. And here is what they say about Susie Wiles, appearing to be the connective tissue between Trump and Big Pharma. Here it is. This is right from Maha Action. Susie Wiles is a lobbyist for Big Pharma. She's also a key advisor to President Trump. That is the problem. This was from last year, that this was put out to all those subscribers, all the people backing RFK as he moved into the MAGA territory. He said, come with me to MAGA. We're going to get our asses in there and stick it to Pharma.
And this is right before he made the switch. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't believe it, man, until like a day or two before it happened. I just couldn't bring myself to imagine that he would betray everybody in that way, because he spent so much time saying the problem is both sides, guys. Like, and he, at the same time, he said he'll work with anyone on either side who wants to do the right thing. But he always said the lesser of two evils is the problem. And now he's engaging in the exact same thing. I mean, it's literally the definition of a sheepdogger into the establishment. And, you know, I got to give a lot of Maha and a lot of Republicans credit, because they're pushing back on this administration far more quickly than the Democrats pushed back on senile Joe Biden. So
Democrats don't push back on, they don't push back
not
until
really.
they're told to, they're told we're going to go with Kamala now. Now you guys can admit he had a mental
And after they lose, and now you see all these other sheepdoggers getting ready. Like the former press secretary says she's no longer a Democrat, and the reason why she's no longer a Democrat is because Democrats are mean to her. So there's no actual disagreement over policy. There's no criticism over anything, you know, either side did wrong. She just says, oh, the Democrats are mean and they're ineffective. And then you know what's going to happen the next time an election comes around? She's going to be back around, well, the Democrats are bad and I'm an independent, but you should all vote Democrat. That's exactly what the play is. So they realize how unpopular they are. So now we're probably going to see all these quote unquote independents get pushed from each side, who will ultimately tell you to continue voting for the lesser of two evil. Lesser of two evils.
So this was also in a Maha report. Trump is also still cozy with Big Pharma, obviously, but this was put out. Again, this is a supporter of RFK. This is not a chaos agent. His leading campaign advisor, Susie Wiles, is up to her eye sockets with pharmaceutical industry cronies, as the Kennedy Beacon's Liam Surges details right here. And I'm going to show you guys this chart. If you haven't seen this, this will show you guys. If you guys can zoom in on this, on your whatever device you're watching on, you want to pause it on replay. Study this. This is the game plan of Pharma and how they control both sides. Trump, Biden. Mercury is right in the dead center, and that is Susie Wiles. She's the exec on that company, which controls all of these companies.
And I want people to understand how this chart you're pulling up works, right? Because when I was in college, I was actually an intern for the National Petrochemical and Refiners Association, which is a lobbyist association for oil companies, right? And I watched how it works. They're the ones who centralize the donations. They're the ones who study everything, and then they feed the information back to all the people that donate to them. Mercury operates in a very similar way. They're collecting a group of people in a network, and they're taking money from all these people to distribute it to both sides of the political spectrum. So they're a middleman to make sure everything is running efficiently in this giant legalized system of bribery that we have right here. So
even with all this, even with Susie Wiles being defended and Stephanie Spear and all, we're doing a good job and mini wins and we did this little thing and then you're talking about Florida, and that's some legitimate stuff going on in Florida. But overall, even with all of that, what about the obvious question, Jay, of can't you just with a stroke of the pen, can't you just get the mRNA off the shelf?
Of course. You have plenty of data to justify it. You don't need any more studies or any more data to justify it, because we've pulled shots off for far less than what we've seen from the mRNA shots. The bird flu vaccine got pulled after 50 or 60 deaths. We have more deaths that have been attributed, even if it hasn't been completely proven, more deaths have been attributed to the COVID vaccine in like the first year than all other vaccines put together. And you multiply it by like, what is it, like 5, 6, 7, 8? By the time you get to 2 years, that means you have 8 times more with one shot than you have with all the deaths attributed to all other vaccines in the period before that. So it's not even close. And to be honest with you, Matt, you know, it's been more and more, of course, this issue has always been close to me since it happened, but it's getting more and more like to the front of my mind, because now we're seeing more disabilities start to happen, right? And people who got the shot, it's not just people who got the shot. There are multiple ways you can get long COVID, but I'm seeing a pattern now of people who have had long COVID or who have had the vaccine. This isn't going to happen to everyone. So I'm not saying this will happen to everyone, but some of the people who have taken it are catching COVID and now becoming disabled, like, and having really bad impacts from what should be a mild infection. And I'm not saying it's only people that took the shot, because like you can actually get long COVID without taking the mRNA shot. But the question is it the same process to get rid of it if you take the shot versus you have an acute infection, or is it more difficult to get rid of it if you take the shot? And we don't have answers to all these questions.
Well, of course, if you have we know that the shot lowers your immune system. So we know for anything that you're catching, anything your body is fighting on a regular basis, we know that you're going to be worse off if you have a weaker immune system. So there's just that. If we start with that obvious, starting point, you can understand why we all need to be looking at ways to improve our immune system. But the last way to improve your immune system is to take another booster, which is exactly what Trump just tweeted out he did just a month ago after he did the Pfizer deal. So clearly something is wrong here in Maha Town. And when you point it out, the guy that's supposed to be leading it punches down at you and calls you a chaos agent, when all he needs to do is sign with a stroke of the pen. He could end this right now. Can I play this? This guy is going to tell you this. He's from the CHD. That this is the company. This is the organization that RFK Jr. started. It's the
Children's Health
Defense. This is Ray Flores telling us how RFK could end this right now and take the damn shots off the shelf. He could do it with a stroke of a pen.
Public enemy number one, everybody knows it's the PrEP Act. And it allows vaccine manufacturers, COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers, to have complete immunity from lawsuits until the end of the decade. And it also allows them to authorize experimental vaccines indefinitely. Now, why this hasn't stopped, and it can be done by our secretary with the stroke of a pen, is beyond me. Right. Now, the PrEP Act has a lot of hoops to jump through if you do want to sue, and only one lawsuit has ever been filed under the PrEP Act for willful misconduct, and that's my case. It's George Watts versus Department of Defense. And George Watts Jr. waited until he could get a licensed vaccine in order to attend SUNY in person. Unfortunately, the DOD left in distribution the experimental vaccine that killed him. That's according to the death certificate. So we need to fight PrEP at all costs.
So the PrEP Act, that would change. If you took that off the table, that would change everything. Why? Well, we know why he's not doing it. But
that's the organization that RFK founded. Yeah. And again, like, I want people to understand, it would be one thing if RFK did not understand this, but he was one of the most eloquent at explaining how bad this was and all the different elements of the situation. So, for him to get up there and call people chaos agents is, amazing. And I don't know if you had that last tweet from Holden Cutter, who was one of RFK's big supporters during the campaign, but he offered a very mild criticism, but fair criticism of Kennedy, and essentially pointed out like, hey, this isn't what we signed up for. Can you please do what we signed up for? And Kennedy's response to him was essentially, yo, get in line, build a coalition, and support me. Like, so it's like, wow. There's no acknowledgement that you were the one who told us that we need to hold government officials accountable. And, again, I got to give credit to Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore says it best: stop being loyal to politicians, be loyal to issues and principles. And when people align with you on the issues and principles that are important to you, support them. And if you can clearly see that they're working against what you support, then unfortunately, you will have to withdraw your support. That's how you stay principled and not join a cult.
Yeah. And you demand that they come to you. That's if you keep going to them, they don't have to do anything because they know they got you. Exactly. So that's how you take the power back, is by not listening to everything they say. So when Kennedy tells you shut up and get in line, you guys know what that means. That's code for we're not actually, this is a tribe, and if you want to be part of us, then shut up and get in line. So we know what that's about. Yeah.
And check this out, right? I was in the supermarket the other day, and I had a few Kennedy 24 shirts because I was a big supporter of his campaign. And I'm pretty cool with a few of the people who work at the supermarket. I wear the shirt, they speak to me about politics, that type of thing. And one of the ladies over there who's a big time Trump supporter, I was chopping it up with her, and she was asking me how I feel about what's going on with Kennedy right now, and I was like, not too impressed. And then she asked me, so why are you still wearing the shirt? And I told her, well, if you notice the year it says on here, 2024, I agree with 2024 Kennedy. I don't agree with 2025 Kennedy. So that's where we're at right now. 2024 Kennedy made some great points.
Yeah, and I didn't throw out my Bernie 2016 stickers. They're still somewhere in like a box. And if I run into them, I'm going to go, there was a time when there was something being said at that time that made sense, but it didn't go the way we thought it would. And then we realized later that it was all one big scam, but those doesn't take away that the words being said were important. They needed to be said. So yeah, I agree with your sentiment there, Jay. And if you guys are wondering what RFK Jr. is up to right now, besides these horrible punching down tweets he's been doing and gaslighting people, this is what he's actually been up to, because he was needed at a Turning Point USA event. Here's the audience at Turning Point just loving that RFK Jr. showed up. Yeah. So this is what he's doing, right? And I'm sure he's going to get up there and talk about Charlie Kirk's last plea to Netanyahu to stop, don't bomb Iran. And why did you push for October 7th to happen? Why did you do a stand down order? I'm sure he's going to go with that. No, he won't. He's going to go to the thing that Turning Point has become since Charlie Kirk, and we're never going to get to the bottom of that as far as he's concerned. So now we know where his priorities really are, because this is the stage he wanted to be on, not being in a room, in a conference with the medical freedom doctors that he should be in a discussion with, and he should be on the phone with Mary Talley Bowden.
And really quick, right before you play that, I want everyone to remember, as he's about to talk about, at a Turning Point USA event that used to be run by Charlie Kirk, who got assassinated during his campaign, he implicated the CIA in the deaths of his uncle and his father. So he believes that it's possible for our intelligence agencies to carry out assassinations of major political figures on our soil, or at least be complicit in what's happening, right? But you have no criticism about what's happening now. And that's the most annoying thing. A lot of the people in the establishment who want to, quote unquote, go against the deep state, they'll tell you all about the things that happened in the past. And they'll talk about how we did bad things in the past, but they all pretend, but now we got it all taken care of. No more of it happening now. Now it's all on the up and up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to play the turning point clip. He went up there and just it's not even worth it at this point. Because we know the audience he's talking to are the ones that still think he's bringing people together, which he did. Yeah. And we give him credit. He brought people together under the MAGA banner to say we are the coalition, a diverse coalition of people that are sick and tired of the Democratic Party and all the wars and all this stuff. But that's not.
I got to tell you, man. And his like campaign, it really did show me how people can come together. And that was one of the reasons I was so excited about it, not just because of the fact he was on the disinformation dozen list, but, I'm someone who was a Bernie Sanders supporter. There were tons of libertarians over there, and all of us were together supporting the same candidate. And that's what showed me the potential really is there. It's not something that's hypothetical. Maybe it can happen one day. I already saw the formula of how it can work. And as I was speaking to people about it, as I was speaking to Democrats and Republicans, the biggest objection I would get from them when I actually boiled down to the issues was, well, he can't win anyway, so it doesn't matter. So the only thing that's stopping us from coming together is we believe that we can't do it. And anytime someone tries to do it, everyone discredits the idea. But I saw it happen. Like, it's not theoretical. I saw it happen, guys. And the only reason we weren't more successful is because people didn't think it was possible. Yeah. And because ultimately he decided to join Trump. Sorry, you're freezing up on my end. Am I freezing up for you or no?
No, I think I had too many things open. Are you seeing me now?
Okay.
Am I okay?
Yeah. Now I see you.
I'm seeing the little thing. Okay. Okay. So, all right, I'll have to edit that out of the thing. Okay. I think it's appropriate we end the segment with a reminder from RFK himself, who a year and a half ago told us how corruption works when you get into power. So he's going to tell you what's really going on now, but he tells us a year and a half ago. So just know that he's actually talking about himself, but he probably didn't know it at the time, or he wasn't referencing it at the time, but we know that that's exactly what's happening. So listen to his own words. He's going to tell you what the problem is right now.
Obama or President Trump or Biden come into office saying, I'm going to get rid of the swamp. I'm going to get rid of the corruption. But then they get in there and something happens. Trump got in there saying, I'm going to get rid of the swamp. He asked me to be on a vaccine safety commission. When that news got out, Pfizer gave him $1 million for the inauguration and then for his inaugural party. And then he appointed two of Pfizer's lobbyists, Scott Gottlieb and Alex Azar, to run HHS, and they killed the Vaccine Safety Commission, and then Gottlieb went to serve on Pfizer's board. That is the swamp. And when these guys get in there, what happens to them, they either get co-opted because all the money and because all the congressional chairs are captured by those agencies, so they can't do anything unless they do what they're told, or they just get overwhelmed because these agencies are so huge and the corruption is so entrenched in them that they don't know how to fix it.
And there it is, said by the man himself.
And I want to add something to what he said just now. His uncle JFK and his father too, but his uncle JFK is one of the most inspirational people of all time. He's one of my personal heroes for sure. And, one of his quotes that I think is the most powerful, which I haven't really heard RFK speak about too much, is, and I have it pulled up right now, quote, "The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we as a people are inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings." That was a quote from his uncle. And he spoke a lot about how corruption works. And for sure, bribery is part of it, but blackmail is also part of it. And threats on people's lives are also part of it. So what's going on with RFK? Is it a money thing? Is it something else? I can't really tell you. But, what I can say is his grandfather, actually, I don't know if you know this, Matt, but RFK Jr.'s grandfather was actually a member of the Knights of Malta, the Sovereign Knights of Malta, if you never heard of them before. And they're also a group that is somewhat linked to the Freemasons and these other guys. So there are multiple ones. So maybe it's possible there were a couple rebels in the family, JFK Sr. and RFK Sr., and maybe everyone else fell in line once they saw what was going on over there. So just something to think about.
Yeah. All right, let's do this last one, Jay, before we get you out of here. This one is this is a scary one, man. This is scary, and this is right up your alley because we talk about AI. So let's start from the top. Here's a story, and this is kind of right out of Hollywood. Story goes like this. So it's reported by The Independent. A former Disney star is sparking controversy now with an AI app that lets you speak to dead relatives in avatar form. So this is the guy. So the guy's name is, he's a former Disney Channel actor, Caleb Worthy. He sparks this controversy because this new AI app. It's called TWA or TWAI, I guess. I don't know if you say that together, but it's 2WAI, which allows people to create digital avatars of their deceased loved ones. And so he put this ad out that I guess he's acting in the ad, and this is let's play you guys the actual ad, and then we'll discuss it. But it's certainly getting not the greatest reactions. And I'll say this, Jay, not the greatest reactions from people here in Hollywood, people that generally don't have anything to say about anything and haven't been paying attention to anything. They don't watch our show, that's for sure. But this was so bad, it got them out of their little caves, and they said, wait a minute, something seems a little off about this. So check it out, guys. Here it is. And if it gets cut in post, we'll just talk about it anyways. But if you're watching live, you get to watch it live. Here we go.
Scary in so many ways.
Okay, Mom, I just need a quick video. Is this like an audition or something? No, Mom. Just 3 minutes. You need my best side? Can I say another one? I can play the piano. She's so talented. I am. I'm your mother after all. Keep going. Why don't you start by telling us?
That's their tagline with 2WAI or whatever the hell you call it. 3 minutes can last forever.
This is what I really want people to think about. Number one, it actually prevents you from building real relationships, with other people that are here. Because if you spend your time talking to someone who isn't around, but an AI, I guess, impression of what they think they're like, it's actually going to prevent you from, because there's an opportunity cost for everything. Like, I don't have time to keep up with all of my friends. Like, I don't get to speak with them as much as I would like to already as it is, because I have other things going on. If you're spending your time like talking to people who are no longer here, there's an opportunity cost to that. But the scarier part of that is, a lot of people may have a family member, right, that they go to for advice. Like, maybe there's 1 or 2 people in the family who, know about politics more than other parts of the family, and they're going to go to them to ask for advice. JFK, for example, was a Democrat his whole career. RFK Jr., before he joined the Trump campaign, said that his uncle wouldn't recognize the Democratic Party of today. But if you had an AI picture of or AI, program that was using JFK, the people who wrote that program take money from the Democratic Party, well, they could tell you, no. JFK would have always told you to support the Democrats no matter what they did. And it doesn't matter if they no longer stay true to their progressive values. So if an election is coming up and you don't pay that much attention to politics, and the person who you used to go to for political advice is no longer here, well, maybe you just ask the app and see what the app thinks. And the app can tell you, just vote for the Democrats or just vote for the Republicans, never vote third party. So people evolve over time, right? People should change their opinions as they're introduced to new facts. The AI isn't going to evolve, is it? Like, and is it going to evolve in a way that is organic, or is it going to evolve in a way that benefits the people controlling it? So emotionally manipulative. And of course they can use it to push whatever agenda they want, because they control the voice of people who you love and trust now.
And that's a great point, Jay. And you could do that. You could do a hypothetical like COVID part 2. You could bring up somebody like I think of George Carlin, because I remember how many times because everybody loves George Carlin. I remember talking about people telling people during COVID how much bullshit the lockdowns were and the mandates, and said George Carlin would be completely against it. They go, no, he wouldn't. He would tell you to get in line. I go, okay, so you're right. Like, you could take somebody and make them serve the purpose of the messaging of the state narrative, and then they would be right? If we lived in this time now, the COVID 2020 time, and you had this ability, the person I was arguing at the time could just whip out a George Carlin and say, see, Matt, he did tell you to shut up and get in line. So you're wrong, Matt, so shut up. But see, so it's very manipulative. It's very dishonest, and it's another way to control us. I'm going to go even to another part of this that I think might be even more important, because let's get out of the world politics and the celebrity part of this. Let's go back to the family unit. And when I watch this ad, you know what really, really strikes me, I think the hardest part to watch, because I've seen it a few times now, is when that grandma is telling the 10-year-old, she interrupts him. He's saying, I want to tell you about the scoring. I scored in basketball. And the AI grandma tells the grandchild, I don't want to hear about basketball. I want to hear about that crush. And I'm like, wait, 10-year-old Charlie is trying to tell his because how much does 10-year-old Charlie understand about grandma not being here? You have a relationship with this person now. You've had your whole life from a baby, 10 years of your entire life now. And you want to tell grandma about how you scored in basketball game, but yet the 3-minute video, now think about this, the 3-minute video that grandma made before she died, she goes, can I do this? And, it's an audition. In that 3-minute, you're telling me that the AI decided that grandma doesn't like basketball and was more interested in talking to a 10-year-old about sex? What the F is that? And why is that in the commercial? I'm absolutely appalled and disgusted by that. And it makes me think that particular grandma character was very excited. What about a grandma who's not excited to do this? Come on, grandma. I just need 3 minutes. I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. No. It'll be good. You're going to die soon. You terminal, right? Remember? You have your will. We got your will. We got all the end of life stuff worked out. I just need you for 3 minutes. Little Billy's going to love it. And then you're going to go and pull that shit. How does the AI, by the way, back to the basketball thing, how does the AI know that grandma didn't like basketball? And that's just an example.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions about this and about the misuse of this and the family dynamics. And on top of that, the abuse that could come from this, abuse from a dead relative to a child. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw the other day, but Tesla and Grok got into a little bit of trouble because the kid was literally asking like Grok about sports, right? And Grok somehow wound up asking the kid to send him nudes, I don't know if you saw that video, but so it's like the AIs just do weird things sometimes, man. And like at the end of the day, even if you're not interested in something half the time, maybe you pretend to be because it's a little kid. Like, you may not be the biggest basketball fan, but if you care about your grandson and your grandson had a really good game in basketball, he wants to tell you about it. Like, oh, what happened in the basketball game? Oh, did you make a touchdown? That's she might say like, no, grandma, that's not how it works. We shoot hoops over there. So it's like, but instead they shut all that down. No, let's not talk about your dreams and your hopes and all that. Let's talk about
a 10-year-old
I know, like a grandma who may not know that much about sports. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, like we have to ask ourselves, and again, it's the opportunity cost, man. You're spending your time talking to a robot instead of spending that time building relationships with people that are actually here. And
that's another
it's just
great point.
another way to immerse you in a digital world that doesn't exist.
And you're confusing a child who doesn't know any better, did not live in the world we live in, so has nothing to compare it to. And like that 10-year-old is going to have the entire life with that grandma who wants to talk about what girl do you want to like flirt with at 10 years. I'm stuck on that one. Why is that in? It's so weird. It's so weird. They went with the 10-year-old crush and the abruptness of interrupting. I mean, I'm like, is the red eyes going to start? I said, tell me about the crush. It's like, what kind of evil monster is being created here? And by the way, one more thing. That grandma was very nice and sweet. And is this an audition? What about an abusive grandparent? What about a very dark and twisted grandparent? What if little Billy is happy that Uncle Joe is dead and doesn't want Uncle Joe around anymore? What about that?
And and I know of someone recently who was in an abusive situation, and her child didn't really understand like what was going on between the father and the mother, and the child wanted to speak more to the father, right, and hang out more with the father because they miss the father. Well, then what happens now if that child like gets access to an AI version of this person, like who is a toxic person? Like is the AI going to continue on that toxicity of someone who God may have taken from this earth because that was part of the plan and that person no longer had a purpose here? I mean, there's so many problems that arise from this, man. Like we're all here for a specific amount of time, for a reason, and maybe science finds ways to extend that. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. But you can't just copy someone's image and like put it into AI. I think that's dangerous. But again, this goes along with the theme of what we've been seeing, because just like you pointed out the other day, Tom Hanks has no problem with AI actors of dead people taking the jobs of actors who were trying to now become the next Tom Hanks. He has no issue with that. He doesn't care about that. And, what you mentioned about the sexuality of it all, again, it's a common thing. Like I just saw a Fox News poll the other day describing women, not girls, but women from age 15 to like 35 in a poll. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wouldn't she technically be a girl or a teenager? I thought you become a man or a woman once you're an adult. And there's no state in this country where you were considered an adult at 15 years old. But in the Fox News poll, they just slid it in there. Woman from ages 15 to 35.
Wow. I mean, and there's been a lot of just back to this thing. I know there's pushback happening. We've seen it all over the here in LA. People do not like this, and that's good. That's good. We're not in a very small camp here. I think we're having a very intellectual discussion about it, and all the layers that are involved. But I think that people who maybe just they're at first glance, they got a bad taste in their mouth about this, and that's good. That's really, really good. And I hope this doesn't have any of the long-lasting elements that they are hoping for. They want to make a ton of money off of this, and that ad they obviously spent a long time on. But I'm telling you guys, like if your instinct was like ours, then you still are in touch with your humanity, and that's what we want here on this show. And this is from Hustle Bitch. I'll just say, reporting on this guy, and this guy's name. What is his name again?
It's cut off a little bit on my screen. I can only see the line starting at C. I don't know if it looks like that on your screen.
Oh, no, I got the whole thing. But he's saying in the middle, the ad literally shows a woman interacting with the digital clone of her dead mother. Not a memory, not a photo, a living, talking AI reconstruction of the dead. And gets darker. The young son starts chatting with the AI grandma, and the app is able to carry those conversations on for decades, long after the real woman is gone. This company calls this a living archive of humanity. But think about what that really means. Your grief becomes data. Your family becomes a program. Your dead relatives become software for a corporation which owns it forever. Would you ever let your kid talk to an AI version of a dead family member? And it's a great question we all should go home with and think about. But yeah, we need to share this one out, guys, and let people know that this is what's on. This is what's
and
on.
I just want people to remember, a lot of people evolve over time. I had a family member who was a big fan of Rachel Maddow, at one point, right? And as time went on, the reason why they stopped liking Rachel Maddow is because every time I would talk to them about politics, they would tell me what they heard on Rachel Maddow and think that they know what's going on. And I would tell them what's really happening, specifically on the Ukraine war. And then they realize, oh, wow. So she is a liar. She is bullshitting. And then that person no longer liked Rachel Maddow. But if that person had, unfortunately, something had happened before they made that evolution, the AI wasn't going to remember the evolution of that person. So that's why one of the reasons this is so dangerous. Computers can't understand us. Like, computers are not nearly the same as the human mind. And it's not close. I know people think AGI is coming, and I'm not the expert in it. I'll admit that. But when I know about all the different factors that go into the human body and the human brain, like, we're just different. Consciousness is different. We have an aura and an energy. And like, now the double slit experiment proves that humanity and consciousness is different from data in machines. Because for those who don't know what the double slit experiment is, they shoot a ray of light through two slits to see how the light reacts. And when nobody is watching it, when people are watching it, the light acts as a ray of protons. So, or whatever the light particles are, it goes straight out in dots. But when nobody's watching it, the same ray now acts as a wave. So that means it literally acts differently depending on whether or not it's being observed. So if you never heard of that, Matt, go check it out. It's the double slit experiment. And that shows you that consciousness is different from anything else. So that's why I personally don't believe that we can replicate consciousness with machines. So it's scary, and again, it just takes us more out of the real world. And that's one of our biggest problems right now. On the one hand, we're finding out more about what's happening in the world with technology. Some of us, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are stuck in the same loop, but a lot of us are too sucked into technology and we're losing our humanity. So if we can find that happy medium, we're good. This AI is not part of that happy medium.
No. Jay Scott, man, great show with you today. Really appreciate it, man. Yeah, dude, I guess the word is, I just got word. We were on the fence about Thursday, but it looks like we are going to go through with our Thursday show. So that's
Let's do it.
Really good news. Should we announce a guest now, or we can wait?
Yeah. We have Nico House. He's been involved, founder of the Hotspot, been involved in politics for a long time. If you guys remember how Bernie Sanders got exposed, essentially for just sheepdogging people into the Democratic establishment, Nico House was one of the people on that lawsuit that exposed that the DNC is a corporation that can just pick candidates at will and doesn't have to abide by, what the voters want. So he's been involved in politics for a very long time. Super excited to speak with him. And he knows a lot about what's happening in the world. So it's going to be a great episode on geopolitics. So
awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to Nico House. I think Craig Possible will stop by at some point also on Thursday. And we're hoping, I think we might. We haven't confirmed it yet, but we might have Keaton from Due Distance. So if you do Distance peeps are still watching, we might have a nice, fun, full show on Thursday for you guys. So we're still putting it together, but that's the latest with all that. So we'll see you back here, Jay, in a couple days. We're gonna do a little bit more here. But yeah, anything else? I'll let people know where to find you.
Yeah, Stay curious, people. That's all I want to say. Let's talk about the problems with Zionism, but don't let it end there. Start buying some books and reading up about what's really happening in the world, and let's not hyper-focus only on one problem. We got to solve them. We got to solve each part of the problem. So don't hyper-focus on one thing, and let's take a look at the big picture and see who answers to who, because maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Zionists are at the top and all these other folks are secretly working for Zionists. I can't say I know the order, but I know there's a lot more going on over there. So stay curious, everybody. And decentralization, if you're interested in what I have to say, I'm aligned with the We the People Party, www.wtpnational.com. Decentralization can unify the country. Check it out, guys. And I'll catch you Thursday, Matt.
Awesome. See you, Jay. Thanks.
Later.
All right, guys. Jay Scott, everyone. As always, thoughtful, very intelligent conversation, and worthwhile. All those stories, very good, very good. And we'll have the stories for you guys. The segments uploaded. We're still got to catch up from the last episode. We still have a few more to put up, but those are for you guys to utilize when need be, when you're able to engage with people in your community, people from your friend circle, your employment arena, your family, friends, wherever it is. If you've had any fallouts, any divides for whatever reason, I don't know. I can't imagine why anybody would divide their relationships and split off in the last couple of years. I have no idea what could have caused that. But if that happened to you in the last couple of years, this might be an opportunity for you. If you see a segment, a topic that you connect with, and you go, oh, you know who might see that? They might get it. Send it to them. They don't have to watch our whole show. You guys know we like to go 4 hours, 5 hours. I think we're going to do a 4-hour one today. We still got some more show for you guys right now. It's going to happen. I'll tell you what's coming up here in a second. But on this note, yes, keep a mental note. Go check out our channel on Rumble. All of the segments are up there. YouTube, most of them are up there. There's a few of them we don't put up on YouTube just to be safe. But on Rumble, you can find all of our segments eventually are uploaded, and you can share those out, as well as reference back to our original live show, because we never take the lives down either. All of the raw, the way everything went, the way it's going right now is always up. We never take them down because we got nothing to hide, nothing to say, oops, we don't like that episode. No, we might evolve from week to week. We might learn new things, inform our opinion a little better. But it doesn't take away from where we came from. So we have no problem reminding us and you where we came from. That's important. That makes us who we are today. Very important. And I want you guys to apply that to your own lives. Where you came from makes you who you are today. And that's why we call ourselves the homeless left, because it reminds us where we came from. It reminds us what made us who we are today and informs us where we're going tomorrow. So that's what the show is about. That's what we're doing here, guys. I was going to take a break, but you know what? F it. Let's just move on. So we're going to do this. We're going to talk to you guys right now. So get your comments ready. I see a bunch of them because you guys, we had due dissidents coming in here. This is good. This is good. So we're up on Rumble. You guys can throw comments up there. Rumble rants go to the front of the line, guys. Rumble rants, front of the line. Guess what? If you're on YouTube, THL Presents on YouTube. Super chats, front of the line. All right, we're going to do a quickie. So I hope I'm not going to be able to get to all you guys. We're going to do a quickie. And then I got one more story for you. We have a Kevin Spacey story. You don't want to miss that this week in HOLLYWOKE. A loudest voice of the week. We're going to push that till Thursday because at the top of the hour, we're actually going to be moving over with KELLEY LANE again. And this time we have none other than Bill Binney coming in with us. We're going to talk about the surveillance state and the NSA whistleblowing that Bill Binney has done in his career and share his experience and what's going on with that surveillance state. So we will be crossing over into that conversation at the top of the hour. So that's what's coming up on the homeless left. So let's go ahead and we don't need a break. We're good to go, guys. We got all the energy we need. We don't need it. We don't need to take a break. So let's go ahead and start with the lead-in. What's the lead-in? Oh, yeah, talking back with Matt. That's the lead-in. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's do it. Welcome to Talking Back with Matt. Today's episode, we had Jay Scott on with us. We were talking about the New York Mayor Adams and his weird trip to Israel and telling the people in Israel that he serves them, not the people in New York. We talked about X disabling the Hebrew posts on its platform. That means we cannot see translations of the Hebrew posts. We see the Hebrew, but not the English translations. They don't want us to read that anymore. So that's officially done. Go ask Grok. He'll tell you that the Hebrew translations are officially done on X. What else is happening? We got an AI app we just talked about. An AI app that's bringing back dead relatives, and they're trying to sell it to you. We don't want any piece of that. We also talked about, of course, the Epstein files release. We know that the House just voted to send the files to the DOJ and force them to release them. We'll see. I'm sure they'll be released. Now, what about it will we never see? Well, we know that. So don't get your hopes up on that one. And we also talked about Maha and the crumbling of Maha, because RFK Jr. has become the thing that he hates, which is the guy punching down at us while defending the pharma overlords. Okay, let's get to what you guys had to say. And I got to say this. We're happy Due Distance came in to our stream today. We love the Rumble raids. It's called Rumble Raid. We finally figured out how these things work, which is pretty awesome. When one stream ends, you can bring your viewers over to another stream. So we really, really appreciate that they do that for us. And we love aligning with you guys. If you're from Due Distance, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, specifically the subscribe, so you can get notifications when we, in fact, go live. Okay, let's see what some of the stuff you guys have to say. Let's start with Citizen Banteo. This one is fun. This was we talked about the Dana Bash interviewing Marjorie Taylor Greene. Pretty big deal that what was said in that interview. But look, oh my sweet Lord Almighty, look at Dana Bash's face. This is what defending genocide does to your skin. Hilarious. And we talk about the playing dumb, and it's the Anderson Cooper face. He was doing the same one with Massey, but like you have this like, oh, what are you talking about? What do you mean AIPAC? So like, educate me. And it's like, yeah, it's a lot you have to maneuver around when you've been a genocidal maniac pushing propaganda your entire career. And now you got to pretend like you're doing the news. Well, you're not doing the news because if you're doing the news, you'd be asking the questions that Marjorie Taylor Greene are asking. And you wouldn't have a look on your face of, well, is that what you're doing? I don't know what that is. I don't know what it means to ask questions to people up here. I only like asking questions down. I punch down. My name's Dana Bash, and I punch down. So it's a new concept to her. That's what's going on. Thanks for the comment, Citizen Padeo. You have some other good ones, but I can't get to all of them right now. We got to do a quickie. Wish to go in the house for the Epsteinth time. Love it. For the Epsteinth time, dismantle Zionism. Absolutely. We get it, man. We get it. A little bit slowly but surely. It's one step at a time. We will change one mind at a time, right? No child left behind. Except if you're in Palestine. That's the not a good. There goes that joke. That's not funny. Yeah. That's the hardest part, I think, about all of this is the massive intentional casualties of children. There's nothing worse than that. Nothing worse. Everything we talk about on the show, nothing worse than that. It can't even make a nice joke about it. It's not funny. But I do like for the Epsteinth time. That's funny. Okay. Oh, this is cool. ChatterX, Barack W. Chump. Love it. That kind of says it all right there. That says it all, doesn't it? I wonder if we could expand that name. Maybe add in a little Clinton in there. A little Willie. Barack W. Willie Chump. Something like that. But that's it. That you got 3 of them in there. That's good. I love it. What else we got here, guys? Oh, yeah. This is cool. Why is Elk 130? The political party system is a lie. Yes, it is. And if anything, Epstein is proving that. That's the point, guys. That's the aha moment. If it took you this long, fine. We don't care. You have your wake up moment when you have it. But if this is the moment, you should see that Epstein is all about people above the two-party system protecting each other. This is how it works. This is how being an elite works. It's not the two-party system is a scam. It's designed to make you think that you have us and them, good guys, bad guys, whatever side of the aisle, when in reality, that game they're playing is a game. They are actually on the same side. Well, how does that work, Matt? How can they don't actually like each other? Well, Well, that part doesn't matter. They don't have to like each other. In fact, a lot of times you see them going at each other. That's real hatred. I'm not saying it's all theater as far as how they think of each other. They can certainly have, if any of you guys ever dabbled in acting, it's not about acting. It's about finding the truth. And they certainly have stuff to pull from their own lives that they can make a very excellent performance about how much they hate the person across from them. Very easy to do that. The reason they are elite is because they, above all else, above all the fake arguments and the fake coming at each other, and whether they like each other or not, which again doesn't matter, the thing that makes them elite is the ritualistic behavior. It's the meetings. It's the underground shit. It's we're going to do really dark shit together, whether it involves anything sexual or violent or both, usually both. And we're going to know it's so bad. It's so extreme. It's so unheard of. And we just did these things together. We have blackmailed each other doing it. We're all in on it. So we know that supersedes any other disgust or bribe or change of mind, or I'm in a particular mood where I don't care, I'm going to oust this person. No, you're tied at the hip. It's a blood brother. You guys know blood brothers? You guys know that thing, or you cut the hand and you put your hands together and we are blood now, we're blood forever. That's what it is on a level that's so disgusting, but it ties them together forever in an elite sort of way, which makes everything else secondary. All of the election season this and percentage of liking that and approval rating this and that, all of that is fake. It doesn't matter. It's the elite behavior behind the scenes that matters, and that's what keeps them together, whether they like it or not. And there's no going back. You can't undo it. Like in any gang, you can't I decide not. No, you're in for life, and that's that. Okay. You guys know, it's sometimes we got to spell this out because we forget sometimes, like, how the hell are they doing this? Like, it's insane sometimes, but that's it. That's why. And this is from start Mark Epstein. We played the clip. The reason they're going to release the files is they're sanitizing them. Exactly. And we played this clip. This is Epstein's brother, Mark. He's saying that there's a facility in Virginia where they're scrubbing the files to take Republicans' names out. The Democrats probably already did scrub their side of it. So they're each doing their little thing to maintain the facade of the two-party system. So the Republicans have to protect other Republicans to keep the charade going beyond the next month or two into the next year, into the next election season. They got to keep the facade going. Unless enough of us figure this out, then they can't do it. What about that? What if enough of us figure out it's all a scam? Then they can't actually get away with it. But the only reason they can is because enough people buy it. That's why. Okay. Man, there's so many good comments. You guys, thanks for all of you guys being part of this today. Let's see what else we got here. We got Anon user, there's a Luigi. I love that. I know that. We know that reference. Anon user, no amount of power stops hollow point to brain. We have a cheap solution. Thank you for that. And wish ago Gal Gadot's attempt to use anti-union laws to prosecute 8 anti-genocide activists for protesting while she was filming in London has crashed and burned when her case was thrown out yesterday. That is some great news. That is some hell of great news. Wish ago, thank you for reporting on that. If you guys have been following our channel, you know that we covered the Gal Gadot strike in London that happened it was right before the summer. I think it was back in May. And apparently she was trying to sue those activists, which she clearly could not get away with. And the London court crushed it today. That is awesome. That is great news. We'll maybe do a follow-up on Gal, see how she's doing, how Gal's doing after her Big loss apparently she just had here. Boo-hoo. By the way, that's our most watched video on YouTube is this video. Go to guys, if you want to see our coverage from May, this is by far our most watched. Go to the THL Presents on YouTube. Right on the homepage, it comes up right away on most watched videos. It'll be the first thing you see. That is the story that Wish It Goes is referring to. And it's nice to see that the protesters were successful. So good for them, because that's how the First Amendment works. If you don't want Gal Gadot, Zionist psychopath who's murdered people when she used to be part of the IDF and a trainer back in 2006 when they were invading Lebanon, that person you don't want shooting in your city, you have a right to go to a public place, which they did, and protest with loud noises, because everybody knows if you're making loud noises on set, you can't film. And that's what they did, and it was awesome. Go check out our video, guys. Most watched. I think 120,000 maybe people have seen that video, which is crazy. It just blew up on its own. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Oh, there's so much here. So much here. We'll do 4 or 5 more at least. We'll do 4 or 5 more. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. I see Wise Elk. That's on purpose. The Zionists have a prophecy where 6 million must be murdered to bring the Mashish. The number 6 million, it keeps coming up. It's so weird. Go Google the 6 million. So there's these reports of the same numbers used over and over, well before World War II and the Holocaust. This number keeps getting repeated. It's so bizarre. But I guess it must be scripture. It must be. It was written, right? It was written, prophecy. So they keep going back to that number. So interesting. What a coincidence that Hitler used the same number on it. Wow, what a coincidence. How did he get to that number? That's quite an achievement to get to 6 million in such a short period of time without any of the equipment needed to do it. It's very interesting. They were able to pull that off. Good. Wow. Unbelievable. It's literally unbelievable what Hitler pulled off. Literally unbelievable. Okay. What else? I like this comment from Tiggs. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Memdani is not a Democrat socialist. He's a Nepo baby and welfare capitalist whose first loyalty is to his elkless ilk. Therefore, in a class war which we're currently in, whose side is he actually on? And yes, I agree. We know that Memdani, using the language that Bernie Sanders used, is something that works, right? It gets people excited, like the Democratic Party's being taught a lesson, and we're going to be more like Europe, Europe does have Democrat socialists. We don't have them here. They don't actually exist. Just because you say it doesn't mean it is. We know that Memdani was handpicked by the establishment to go through another charade that he's sticking it to them. He's not going to be able to do any of the things he's promised that are in the realm of socialism for the people. You only get socialism for the rich. That's all we get. That's our system of capitalism, is socialism for the rich. It's too big to fail. But we are too small to succeed. That is the exchange of capitalism. Too big to fail. Banks. Barack Obama bailing out all the banks on day one. Kicked 5.4 million people out of their homes. Banks, too big to fail. People, too small to succeed. Not democratic socialist, not at all. And and to credit to Obama, he never called himself a democratic socialist. But if he was doing his thing today, he would. It wasn't hip at the time. But Bernie, that's all he talked about 2016, 2020, not really doing any of those things. We still don't have health care. We still don't have health care. You know who has health care? The wealthy, the rich, the elite. They have health care. Good for them. Good for them. And that is socialism for the rich, which is not democratic socialism. So that, yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Let's see. What else we got? Let's do a few more, and then I want to get to this other story here. What else we got here? Oh, I saw some discrepancy on where Barack was born. Is it true that, and thank you, Ed Rams, asking the question, is it true that Barack was not born in the U.S.? From the research I've done and we've done here, can't say 100%, but I'm certainly leaning towards that he was not born in Hawaii. The paper trail in Hawaii seems very suspicious. The person in charge of the data had a mysterious death. Also, the birth certificate, which looks a little weird, is posted on the government website, and I've seen people break it down. And I were you guys, I think it would still be available on Twitter. I think if you want to go and check out birth certificate Obama, Google government website, not Google, go to Twitter. Something about, like, if you can type in government website, we'll start with that. That's a good place to start, because you have the freeze frame, the close up of the actual site that the government puts up on their own site. So it's not from another source, it's from them. And it seems that there's something not accurate about the document that they themselves put up. And then you have the whole paper trail in Hawaii. So Trump famously accused Obama of not being born here. And at the time, Trump was called racist for doing that. I think what we need to do, whether this is true or not, and like I said, I can't say 100%, but when we call out elite for having secrets and the media protecting those secrets, that's important. And I think it's important that we don't, even if it's Trump doing it, which obviously there's political reasons involved, but it's not cool that we go to that place of it's racist. Just like you guys know the accusation of Michelle Obama being born a man. So let's not be guilty of telling somebody who claims that or asks the question, is Barack Obama's wife, was she born a man? Let's not be guilty of shaming the person asking the question and saying, oh, what are you, transphobic? Because that's not the point of the question. The point of the question is, do elite people get extra protection and get to spin their story and their narrative? And does the media protect that narrative? That's the real question. And let's get out of the mindset that, oh, we would know it if it was true because the media would tell us and they would know. That's not true. That's not a thing. Let's stop believing that. There's a movie that tricks us into thinking that. If you guys are around in the 90s, there's a movie called Primary Colors where John Travolta plays a version of Bill Clinton. And I think his wife is, what is her name? Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson is playing a version of Hillary Clinton. And the movie is about telling the audience the exact opposite of what I'm telling you. The movie is about conditioning you to think that the private lives of politicians is under scrutiny by the media, and they have to hide their indiscretions. They have to hide their secrets behind closed doors. And if the media finds out, they're going to run with it. That's what the movie is about. That's not true. That's not true. The movie was made to make you think that's true. And I'm just using it's a 1995 movie or something called Primary Colors. It's just an example of how we've been brainwashed to think that the media, because they want to make money and get advertisers and get views, that they're ready to give you a secret of a high-end person. They're ready to do that with celebrities, fine. With athletes, fine. But high-end elite people, that's not how it works. They have things that are protected, that the media's job is to protect them. Whether a birth certificate was faked, whether you were born a different sex. There's secrets that get kept. So when we ask those questions, let's not fall into the trap of, oh, you must be racist if you think Obama is not not born here. You must be transphobic if you think Michelle was born a man. Let's ask about how elite get protected. Those are legitimate questions. And if those turn out to be true, then the result of that isn't, oh my God, can you believe that we had a guy not born here? Or can you believe that our first lady was born a man? That's not the point. Is, can you believe that the system that exists, that we live in, was able to get away with keeping that secret from us? That's the conclusion. And that's the scary part. Not the thing itself, but the ability to manipulate a narrative to us and keep information from us. That's the lesson from both of those examples. So I appreciate that. And again, I'm not saying 100% on either of those, but let's not be those people that go, oh, how dare you ask that? Okay. I'll do one more, and I got one more story. So let me just finish this up. Man, you guys have done so many good comments on here. I wish we had a little more time, but we are going to be oh yeah, Leslie, this is important. She lost so many friends and family because criticizing Harris. This is what we talk about. We're not allowed to criticize the people we vote for. Of course, we're allowed to criticize people we vote for, or they want our vote. We can criticize them without saying we're helping the other team. We know this. Let's just remember this. Always remember this is a truth. People around your lives might not understand this. They might not ever understand this. They think you're helping the other team. No, you're holding people accountable that want your vote. And if they don't answer these questions, they don't get your vote. If you did vote for them, you have the right to call them out on not doing the thing that you voted for. You have more of a right to do it than someone who doesn't like them to start with, or didn't vote for them to start with. You have an absolute right to voice your concern. That's so stand behind that, and you're on the right side of things. If you are voicing your voice, you're on the right side of things. If you're staying silent, no, you're not on the right side of things. Oh my God, you guys, so many good comments. I cannot get to. I'll do one more. And I'll try and play some more later at the end. Okay, we'll do that. Sure. Okay. All right. Oh man, thanks you guys. One cup turned in, Airwaves. YouTube guy, we got Leora. Thanks for being there. Kurt Boss. You guys are all awesome. Here's an AI. Okay, because we did the AI topic. Yeah, Wise Elk. AI is a corporate product. It's the ultimate consequence of industrialism. It's replacing the people altogether. Yeah, and I'm glad we've had these conversations. I'm really glad. Because this is the time before we wake up and we're in a Black Mirror episode and we can't get out of it. Now's the time to speak up. Now's the time to speak up against digital IDs. Now's the time to speak up against all of the data collecting, all of the monitoring, all of the replacement of humans with robots, all the replacements of relationships with robots. Now's the time to speak up. That's what it's about. Okay. That should do it for now. Thank you guys for chiming in here on Talking Back. I'll try to spin dryer. Let's put this one up. Yes, this is what we were just saying. Digital ID is the final colonization of humanity. That's it. Okay. I'm going to do a quickie, and then we're going to switch over with KELLEY LANE. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that from YouTube. Before we switch over, I got one more story for you. And it's about Kevin Spacey, and it's a good one. So we're going to call this Week in HOLLYWOKE. Let's go. You guys might have missed this one. Did you see this? Did you see what Kevin Spacey's up to? Kevin Spacey says he chose Israel over Greece when told to cancel Tel Aviv show. Oh, Kevin Spacey's doing shows? What is he, a comedian? Well, the Times of Israel reported this out last week. that Kevin Spacey, I guess, was given an ultimatum by Greece because they didn't want him to be performing in Tel Aviv. So they said, hey, dude, we don't like that. So you got to cancel your Tel Aviv show. Well, guess who Kevin Spacey chose? Well, Kevin Spacey chose Tel Aviv and told Greece to F off. Yep. Kevin Spacey says he chose his upcoming performance in Israel over a planned show in Greece, telling Israeli TV that there had been pressure on him to cancel his upcoming November 19th Songs and Stories. Oh, that was, man. Oh, so he was going to cancel it, but then he decided, no, I'm going to do the show. They deserve a show in Tel Aviv. I'm going to do it. So he was at the Spacey appearance in Greece was announced. There were demands that he cancels that November 19th show. But he told Channel 12 in an interview on Tuesday that he went ahead and canceled the Greece one instead because he felt more of a connection in Israel. Yeah, that's probably what it was, right? More of a connection. Many artists have faced strong calls to boycott Israel over Gaza war that erupted in the wake of October 7th. That's funny. Hamas massacre in southern Israel. They've faced strong calls because I remember people losing jobs for not supporting Israel. I remember people losing representation like Susan Sarandon for being in the streets with Free Palestine activities and protests. That's funny, but apparently the Times of Israel thinks that the pressure is on people in Hollywood to be against Israel. Oh, so that's the spin. Okay. So Spacey told Channel 12 he always has felt an affinity for Israel and saw echoes of the boycott calls in his own experiences. Oh, there you go. So he felt he could relate because the way he was being shunned, as he was trying to get on with his life, he was being shunned for something he did. And he felt like, at some point you got to let it go and, get back to normal and pretend you never committed a genocide. Pretend you never molested little boys. Right? That's the thing he saw in himself. Okay. Well, that makes sense. He gets him. He gets Israel. Come on, can we just let this genocide thing go and just get back to normal life? Come on, guys. Come on. Don't boycott me. Right? So, well, now back in 2017, Spacey, that's where he was accused. Now, this is the Me Too movement. You guys remember that? Dozens of men he was accused of misconduct. And at various degrees and multiple legal cases were filed against him. You guys remember the Me Too movement? It was huge in HOLLYWOKE. I think that's where the term HOLLYWOKE might have originated from, at least from the vantage point of our show. There was something about getting in line, that you have to check boxes, and Kevin Spacey certainly did not check the right boxes, and that's why he was ousted. He lost his shows. He lost his House of Cards show. So when he was when Spacey was shunned by the global entertainment industry, he said it was an important place for him. So he was welcomed in Israel right away. I didn't know that. So he went to Israel, felt welcomed while he wasn't allowed. He was blacklisted in Hollywood. So I think the thing he admires most about Israelis is the people who look forward, always look forward, not behind. That's a very nice skill to have when you don't want to account for your crimes. You just look forward. It's a good skill to have. That's what he likes. So he reflected on everything. Let's hear a clip of his interview. Get your Kleenexes ready. Get your tissues ready, people, because Kevin Spacey is about to have a little heart-to-heart with us about his affinity to Israel.
That I was being given this little peek into the resilience of Israeli citizens. That what these kids have gone through for the last couple of years, they were so excited to share of themselves and tell these stories, even in Hebrew, which I couldn't understand, but that's the incredible thing, of course, about human relations, the language doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I didn't speak Hebrew. It mattered that I could understand what they were going through, what they were experiencing, what they were sharing. And it was truly one of the most, I felt very lucky that day.
Wow. So lucky. Look at that. Look at Kevin Spacey finding comfort being around people who their entire existence at this point seems to be creating their own narrative about why they can justify their behavior and not have any remorse for anything, and get angry at people for wanting to keep holding them accountable for it. Didn't that happen like back, 2017? So we start saying that about October 7th, was it? Or this genocide has been going on for the last 2.5 years. Or the fact that Netanyahu issued the stand down order and created all the elements to create October 7th and the Hannibal Directive and all that stuff. But didn't that happen? Didn't that genocide already, isn't that done? Didn't we have a peace deal? Can we just move on? So Kevin Spacey feels at home when he's in Israel, as he should, because what do we know about Israel? We know that Israel likes to take in pedophiles and set their lives up from scratch. And as Kevin Spacey says, always look forward, never behind. So it is the perfect place for him. And I cannot believe that we didn't even realize that that's where he's been spending most of his time. Now he is back a little bit in the Hollywood scene. He's been touring some films at the film festival circuit. There's people that I guess are okay with working with him. He just had his directorial debut post Me Too, and I guess it went okay as far as he finished a film and it got out in very small theaters. So he's still trying to work, but man, oh man, that tear coming out of his eye. We know what that's about. We know what that tear is about. Now I'd be surprised if any of those actors that he is aligning with that want to be like him, that are coming up, the actors that are coming up in Tel Aviv want to be like Kevin Spacey. I don't know, especially if they've served in the IDF, which mostly every one of them has. I don't know if they're going to be capable of the same tears or the same acting ability that Kevin Spacey has to die on command, cry on command, do whatever I got to do on command. They have a lot to learn from. He certainly sets a high bar, but I would bet that those IDF soldiers don't actually have the human capability of crying because they're all freaking sociopaths. And that's This Week in HOLLYWOKE. Okay. We're going to wrap it up right now, guys, on this stream, and we're going to move over. We're going to move everything on over to Kelly Lane's stream. Now, if you're on Rumble right now, you're going to go ahead and just hang tight. You don't have to go anywhere. And we're going to cross you over right now. If you're on YouTube, you can take the next few minutes to come off the stream, and you'll have a few minute cushion. You can go check out there's a live stream already set up on our YouTube channel, and you can click on that, and Kelly and I will be there momentarily, and we'll have our guest Bill Binney joining us at the top of the hour to talk about NSA whistleblowing and the surveillance state. So it's going to be a great hour, guys, and the show continues here at the Homeless Left. And for everyone else, we will see you back here at our regular time on Thursday at noon. Thursday at noon Pacific. Big show planned for you guys on Thursday. Okay. I'm going to cross you guys over right now. Here we go. Yeah, get ready. We'll see you guys in a few minutes. Okay.